time to get it prepped up. Okay. Cool. Looks like it's going. Let's see. It's gonna try and get this post out real quick. And then, I'm trying to think of everything I need to put in this post. Is it? I think it's this or next week. Jujutsu Kaisen's anime comes out. It's on the 2nd. Yeah, it's next Friday. Yeah, on Friday. I think I'm trying to think what else I want to put in this. I think this is kind of good. Go chat, and then I'll just post the shit. Get this post out there, and hopefully get a nice stream going. Stream for a good hour and plus. What's up, Kimano? How's it going? I'm doing pretty good. Just sitting comfortable. Just finished doing some cleaning, so just figured I'd want to stream, do a chat, get things out, especially after the news we got, like with the Eden Zero game and the anime. I thought about doing a video on the anime, but we only got like the studio. We need to get a trailer. I'm going to I'm going to post a reaction probably when the trailer comes out, like when we get an actual trailer for the anime. But I don't really want to for just, oh yeah, we got the studio, and then a preview of the game where the same thing with the game with the anime. If we got like a bigger trailer, it's probably when I'm going to actually like do more on it. I just don't really feel like I wanted to as a small amount right now. Just because I didn't want it to feel like I'm just trying to fish for anything possible to make a video on it. I don't really want that. If I feel personally that it's like, oh cool, this will be fun to do, that's pretty much when I end up doing it. Black Clover on break. Well, no, it's good. This means Tabata can have some time off to rest. I'm very pro for that. I'm very much on board with Tabata getting some time off because the dude works really hard. He very rarely takes breaks. He's very regularly, working his ass off. So I'm very much on board and okay with him taking a week off every once in a while. Because generally the only time he takes a break is when the magazine itself is on a break. So him ever, I kind of like the idea of like the like 3 weeks and then taking a week off, but they stagger different mangaka each time. Like, oh, this week Oda's taking a break, this week Horikoshi's taking a break, this week Tabata's taking a break. Any of them, they just they are overworked because what they don't need is one of their mangaka to get so broken down that they can't, they're not going to be performing at the level that is for both their benefit and the mangaka's benefit. Because obviously, if they overwork them, then it's going to be bad for both parts. You don't want them to get to like a point where they have to take long hiatuses because, injuries or sickness or anything. Noxtaku is right about Bakugo. I mean, Bakugo's not dead. He got hurt. Getting hurt doesn't mean they're dead. What's up, Jason? Borna, how's it going, man? Heard the voice actor for Jackals playing Shiki. Really? I haven't heard that. That's pretty cool, though. I always liked a lot of the, a lot of the villain voice actors. Like, I like Jackals. I like Zenkro's. I actually like Zenkro's sub and dub voice actor. I really like Zenkro's voice actors. It's one of those times it's just both of them I really enjoy. It's kind of like Kaiba's voice actor. Any character that has both a solid dub and sub is just, it has an extra level of quality to it. It's not like it's big for the overall kind of set, like obviously like the ready of the character or the performance. It's kind of like with Mard Gear. Mard Gear had just an overall excellent depiction and essentially everything he was in. It gives the extra respect to the character. I love that. How's it going, AJ Morningstar? Who's the studio animating E0? I think it's JFC staff. They've done some I think they've done some fairy tale stuff. I know one of the staff animators is on that was on Fairy Tales doing it. I know they did like Soma. That you can just look them up. There's a whole bunch of stuff they've done, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm wondering if they're going to try and do it weekly, though. I would much prefer seasonal and just have a higher quality because weekly, like, the only, like, big weekly anime I can think of that's even, like, happened in a long time is what? Black Clover? Because, like, One Piece has obviously, been going a long time, and One Piece is an exception because it has been going a long time. Like Naruto, Fairy Tail, Bleach, a lot of the big shonens that were weekly have, for the most part, and then I guess Boruto is different because Boruto's still kind of in there. But you know what I mean? There's usually now they go seasonal because seasonal it gives them more time to get stuff looking good, more time to get stuff looking crisp, and just people tend to like that a lot more because it's good for the people on board the animation, but also you're gonna get better animation quality. Yeah, JC Staff, yeah, it's looking good. Yeah, the voice actor. Oh, for Jackal, that's good though. I like that. I do like Jackal's voice actor, so that's gonna be cool. And I'm hoping that I am really hoping that they're planning to do something with Heroes and do like a Heroes anime, every once in a while. That'd be really cool. I think that'd be definitely one of the more fun things to come out of just to come out of their whole like IP. Because I love the heroes storyline. I love the heroes like just the existence of it. It's just fun. Like you have a crossover world where you can have these creations all kind of meet up and do stuff. It doesn't have to be like anything. It doesn't have to be some masterpiece of a story. It's for the sake of a crossover. Because it's not like Heroes was like, oh man, the writing was crazy. It was supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be, what a crossover is. And a crossover, the whole point of that is to, to see these characters interact and do stuff. And that's exactly what we got. And that made me really happy. I really enjoyed that. So seeing that in an anime version, I think will be, if so, amazing. I was happy that also it exists because I was like trying to think of what I wanted to do for the stream's picture because I was like Fairy Tail obviously like had a lot of really important stuff go down this week, and then also in Eden Zero obviously we had some big Eden Zero news, but thanks to Heroes I could have both of them in the same picture. So that's gonna be really fun. I often use the term outerversal, and sometimes people get a little too crazy when it comes to power level. I don't try and fuck with anything too wild because after a while I think some people just say words and they don't even like really know where things are. I've seen like people be like, oh yeah, this guy threw an attack through a portal into a different dimension. It's out of reversal now. I don't use it that often. Very rarely. Like some people like circle jerk power levels a little bit too big, but it is what it is. It's always going to be like that. Some people are always just going to be a little bit more wild. Heroes should be a movie. I mean, I'd be okay with that, but I'm like, I don't really think they would. I don't really think they'd be able to get the budget for it because it's a crossover movie. I don't know. I mean, I'd be okay with it. I'd watch it. The difference so between like doing like a short animation series, because you could do Heroes in it's 10 chapters. You can really do it in 3 episodes. You could easily do it in 3 episodes. Ken Bonham, thank you for the $50 super chat. I'm anxious for a Kingdom War review. Also coming Thursday. It's my birthday, so I figured I'd do something I want to do for my birthday, which is donation. Also anxious for the Atlas Flame video. Yeah, so I'm planning. So the Hinowa stuff, I just haven't read the chapter yet. I will do it. I'll probably do it later today. I spent yesterday more just trying to get some caught up on like chores and stuff. I've just been cleaning and shit. But there's a couple character videos. The character videos I'm trying to save because I don't plan on doing a lot of videos like end of October because I got some plans. So I want to have a lot of stuff saved up so it'll be pre-recorded and then post it. And I've luckily figured out what I'm going to do for my editing style, so I just have to get to it. But yeah, the Hinoa video, I'll definitely get to it before the Shonen Jump chapters tomorrow because I don't want to get overwhelmed with all this extra stuff coming tomorrow. And the only thing I otherwise have planned for today is I want to do a video on Celine and then I want to do a video on Alderaan. See, I'll get to that. Don't worry. Heroes. I don't know if it could be a movie. Takuma also has done Klaus. Oh, that's cool. I do like Klaus. So that's actually pretty good news. Definitely gonna check that out. I mean, obviously I'm gonna check out I'm obviously gonna check it out. I'm I've been trying to figure out like what I would want to do towards the anime. Like I don't really know like I don't do the full reactions because like, I don't think it's as interesting to do a reaction video if you don't have your face on there, and I prefer voice videos just because I think it makes it more towards what's going on in the series rather than just what goofy faces I can make. Plus, I'm worried that I don't want to become one of those guys that like has the same like wide-eyed, open mouth, always looking surprised thumbnails. It works for some people. I couldn't do that. I don't know. There's something about that that just leads down this weird rabbit hole. Um, but yeah. Do you like the Eden Zero video game trailer? It looks good. I am pretty hyped. I'm curious to know like how far they're gonna do it actually. That to me is more of what my question towards the Eden Zero anime is gonna be, or the game rather is gonna be, is like how far are they going to go with it? Are they gonna do through Draken Joe? Are they gonna? I feel like Draken Joe is actually probably the best spot they do it because then you get Demon King Shiki's power up near the end. And that's probably the best thing they can do. Because otherwise, it's like they're Digitalis. I don't think Digitalis would be like a good spot to end it. I think the best spot to bring it to would be Draken Joe. Does anyone have any? Is there any other spot that would kind of like work better? I don't think so. Can you do more how strong videos? Maybe. And Rax, have you seen the game footage? They had Beck using happy guns, yet happy in normal form was talking with her. Weird stuff. I didn't notice that part. I mean, it might just be, you know, extra weird video game stuff because they're not going to be. There's not a lot of times when it comes to like these RPG style games where they're going to be spot on accurate to everything. Like in the Fairy Tail game, they weren't accurate all the time to like character outfits, and some of the scenes they changed it a little bit just for the sake of the game, which is fine for me. I don't really mind that. My bigger thing is just how exactly they're going to build what's going on into the game. Like I said, like how far are they going to go? What characters are they going to fit in? Are they going to actually kind of like get things built towards what's going on in the series right now, or are they going to maybe like add extra stuff to kind of like format it into a copy of the game or the series, but not enough for the game format. I don't really know how else to really put that. It's just some of the parts where they alter things and don't. They're like, oh, well, we want to make it more fitting to what's going on in the game rather. I don't know. I think Kurenai. I don't know if it would work and get Kurenai because like Kurenai was like Shiki's first big boss where he had to go all out, whereas like Draken Joe was the boss that he had to push himself beyond what he could do at the time. Because like Kurenai was an opponent, but it wasn't like Shiki had to have some big seasonal arc or seasonal victory over. Like, it's like, oh, we have this much planned, or we have to kind of like get it hyped up to get enough of a reaction to get like a second season. So we need to have like a really big part, and that big part I think would be beating Draken Joe, and that would be the thing to kind of get people hyped to be like, yeah, we want more of this and stuff. Speaking of Zexal, Dueling is going to add Zexal series. Oh, good. I mean, sort of good. Not good. Not like sort of in a bad way. It's just I'm not a huge fan of the Xyz monsters. Like Xyz to me was always just like it was always the pain for me. I personally, if I had to pick an era in Yu-Gi-Oh to live in, it'd be in GX for sure. I think GX was it living in the world the best one because you're in the original timeline. You're post when dueling becomes massive, and it's a lot more. It's a lot more of a chill world, I think, for most people. Whereas if you go to like 5Ds, you can easily end up in like a ghetto. It can be a little bit more painful. I think that'd be the best one because that one to me, because GX being 10 years after the original, you have the history of original existing in your world. So you have like Yugi and Kaiba and Joey and everybody all being these like big deal characters existing to kind of get you hyped up for what's to come and what else is going to eventually build towards in their series. Gojo versus Katakuri. I mean Gojo's just going to be smashing with shadows because Katakuri Katakuri's not going to be able to really do much to Gojo, and then Gojo having shadows is obviously where it kind of gets dangerous because with shadows, it's not really going to be the same as like hitting him with a physical force. It's an energy, and Katakuri doesn't really have anything to defend against that. So you know, it's going to lead him to get kind of screwed. Let me scroll up. I missed a couple. JC staff is known for fan service, food wars. No wonder it made Queen Rebecca's die so damn thick. That's fine with me. I've always said I don't mind fan service. Obviously, I get it. I'm into a lot of stuff that has it. The thing about fan service, like getting a little bit heavier, in my opinion, is it tends to keep a lot of I'm being very honest. It tends to keep a lot of the weirder people away from the series. I mean, like look at My Hero and look at Black Clover. Black Clover obviously does have some, every fandom's going to have some odd people in it, but like Black Clover doesn't have the same level of problem that My Hero has, because obviously My Hero has a lot of strange individuals within their fan base, whereas like Black Clover has a handful, but it's not nearly as much of an issue. So there's something about thick thighs and titties and ass that just tend to only attract a couple of strange people. I don't want to say sad people. That sounded mean. Strange people. Um, I mean, obviously, like any well-adjusted person is gonna be okay with it. I mean, it's like at the same time, like females. The thing that I think a lot of people have noticed that's really, really weird when it comes to people that complain about fan service is they don't complain when it's the guys, but like you can have the females doing it, and then they get furious. You can have the main character run around with no shirt on for like an entire arc, but the second some girl that like pops up some cleavage, they get really furious. I've always thought that to be more weird than anything, because then you have like stuff like what's that, Free and like Yuri on Ice and stuff, and it's like very obviously directed towards like horny chicks and gay dudes and stuff, and then it's like, oh cool, they can have their thing, but then then you have like, hey, this girl, this chick's in short shorts, and that looks like they're about to pop a blood vessel. I did laugh because um I saw a picture from the next volume of Ruby, and it was Yang in like a Tifa outfit, obviously like Monty Monty got inspiration from Tifa to create Yang, and then what was it? One of the people at Rooster Teeth was like saying that Tifa dresses like a prostitute and was like insulting like her character design, and then I was like, not only does like one of their two biggest IPs like is designed from Tifa, but they later put in an outfit that is straight up a reference to it, and I'm just like, those are the sad people. Like there's like strange people like horny during non-horny official hours, and then you have the sad people that just seem to be like allergic to chicks cleavage. I don't know. I've always thought that was weird to me. That's just like, you don't have to like, if it's there, like if you don't like it, then just don't. Like, what's the issue? I don't know. I'll never understand people on that. Do you think that Fairy Tail game and likely A0 game when it drops can be considered an alternate universe version of the main timeline events? I mean, it could. I'm like, we already know that like they're in the same multiverse, but I've always like wondered like the idea of whether or not they are just full alternate versions of the different worlds. I think it'd be really cool if Hiro Mishima decided to bring that up, and then like the original universe was the Magician universe that he did the one shot from, or maybe like it's actually, I think it'd be really cool as if it was like the original universe in Mishima's multiverse. It was like a blank universe to kind of be like a piece of paper, and just Plu was there because Plu was his first like character that he ever kept around that he made when he was in middle school, and like making Plu like the connecting point between all of the universes. It would have to be either Plu or just anybody that has the I mark, like Jalal, Sieg, Justice, anybody who has that, because obviously they're also existent in all of the the universes, and the original main character he had that I mark, so it would fit. I already read that one about Zexal. I want a DLC giving us clothes for Eden Zero game. Goddess some more. Those outfits that we saw were really cool. Shiki's look like Wise's looks thuggish. Shiki's looks badass. I'm actually really hoping that becomes like an outfit for Shiki at some point, because I brought it before. Haru is more of a classic hero. Natsu is independent. Natsu leans more towards good, but he's not against, going against people who would be considered like heroes or just generally good if it meant that if it was because they were a threat to the guild. The Fairy Tail Guild is obviously out for, they're out for their own members more than anything else. And then like Shiki to me has that same kind of like generally leaning good, but for the most part, like he has almost a villain style of confrontation. Like Shiki just does not care. When it comes to that, he has a little bit of a dark like flex when it comes to like his presence towards villains, and obviously like the way he's designed in his Demon King form, the backstory potential with Ziggy, like even like when he beat Kurenai, he had that same. I've showed it before. He's had the same kind of like look down, like glare of superiority, looking at something that is below him that Zeref had on Ultir back on Sirius Island, and I've always liked that about it. Like he has a bit of a villain presence, but obviously he's not evil. But I feel like the way that I've described him, he's like an anti-villain, because you have an anti-hero who's a good guy who does like villain style stuff in order to do it. They're fine with killing and doing vicious things. I've always considered Shiki to be kind of like an anti-villain, where he's kind of a bad guy in a sense, but he goes about it through like a good guy presence and good guy like kind of personality. But yeah, that'd be really cool. Heaven's Wheel Armor Homura would be pretty neat. You'd have to do like a Heaven's Wheel style with her Ether Gear, with her Soul Blade. I would actually just kind of prefer like her battle dress have an attack that's a reference to Heaven's Wheel. I think that would be really cool, and then you just do the Ether Swords. Kurenai's arc was more about Homura being having a psychological victory over her, moving on and becoming free of her. Yeah, I mean like I'm talking specifically about like Shiki's fight against Kurenai. Like it wasn't like the big overcome. It's kind of like look at Natsu versus Gajio. Like Natsu and Gajio were about even, and Natsu had to go all out in order to defeat him. Obviously, like Gajio got boosted back up when he ate metal, and Natsu getting boosted back up thanks to Lucy. But for the most part, like Natsu was fighting somebody at his level, or at least enough that he had to put in everything he had. Whereas you look at like Natsu versus Jalal, the same as like Shiki against Drac and Joe, it was more of that like big overcome moment, and then breaking their limits, becoming more powerful than they were before, you know. And I can compare that like Black Clover had the fight against uh I was gonna say not Ladros. I was gonna almost say Langris, but Ladros. It's not the same presence, but like Deku against overall, any of those like where they get their first big power up, and it's more about like you get that like main character breaking, like I said, breaking limits, becoming just a massive flex moment. That to me is also always when like the main character is like just allowed fairly to have some big dick like absolute domination of like a character that was otherwise more powerful than them when they have that first big power up. Because like I said, like you had that with Deku, you had that with Natsu, you have that with Shiki. It's one of those things. It's a trope I like. It's a trope I've always really liked. Is when you have that absolute just big energy flex moment, new power up, the main character just gets to be an absolute monster. I love that. There's a couple there's a couple there's definitely a couple tropes I'll always be happy about. I that is one of them. Main character's first power up to me is like one of the coolest tropes there is. I also really like when you have like an uncontrolled form. You have just some absolute like big out of control main character, Aetherius Natsu, any of the early tailed beast versions of Naruto, Basto Lorde, Ishigo. Like they're just cool. Obviously Berserk Asta. I'm hoping Deku gets one soon. Also, just really quick before I get back to stuff, I'd really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, hit up a friend like button and subscribe button if you haven't yet. And all donations are appreciated. They're not required. And yeah, and I appreciate everyone for coming out, asking questions, hanging out. And this isn't obvious like it's got Fairy Tail, Eden Zero, Black Clover in the title, but it's any manga that otherwise you have a question for me or anything in general. Like it could be just be like, oh yeah, I want to know if you read this series or you have plans to read or review this series, stuff like that. But it's more of a community stream than anything. Let's see. Yeah, I read the Gojo versus Katakuri. I mean, Gojo in general, like he's more powerful. Like obviously, Fairy Tail's way bigger feats than One Piece, but the thing that is Katakuri's kind of specialty isn't like straight power. It's the fact precog, and then the way that his paramecia works. He's able to kind of just reshape his body to attacks go right through him. But like shadow powers are completely different, as well as they're not a physical force. So like getting hit with shadows is completely different than getting hit by like Gojo's like Iron Dragon sword or something. And when it comes to like magic energies like that, where it is straight like an element, it's completely a different kind of style of of type of durability you're gonna have to deal with. Because like Logia's, and obviously Katakuri isn't a Logia, but the same kind of like it's almost like an elemental kind of body thing with his Mochi, is that he has to. If it's physical force, same with Logia's, it's just going to go through. Whereas if it's an energy, it's different because like obviously even in One Piece they have like elements. Hitting an element is it depends on the way that they interact. But I feel like Shadow's gonna do shit to Mochi. It would just be kind of weird and if you had something otherwise. I mean, plus like Blackbeard should be able to damage him just fine, even without Hockey. But anyway, Lord Hendrickson deletes some comments. Sting versus Gray. Oh, Gray. Gray 100%. I personally think Gray is the fourth strongest in the guild currently. Like right now, I'd say it's Guild Arts, Lexus, Natsu, Gray. Natsu number one if he goes into Dragon Force. During the period of Dragon Force, I think he's stronger than Guild Arts currently. Maybe like post time, maybe like part 4 Guild Arts is on a completely new level. Like maybe he's up there with August and stuff. But like I don't see Guild Arts being above Dragon Force Natsu. Facts. It makes absolutely no sense for fan service regarding the girls. Yeah, people do double standards all the time, and that's the thing that really annoys me. Plus like if you don't like fan service, just don't watch or read something that you know has fan service. It's not a hard thing to kind of grasp. Like you're not being forced to get into something. If it's got fan service, and you're like, oh, I'm not really into like fan service. Just find something else. Yeah, it's against the law to be a straight male. Yeah, sometimes it feels like that. Sometimes it absolutely feels like that. And it's not like it's the annoying people that have that kind of mindset, and you're just like, dude, who cares? Just let them like what they like. Like shit, no one's coming at you. No one. What's funny is because like people are way more okay in like anime Twitter with like outside the norms. Like what was it, femboy Hooters? Like people were like making that joke all the time, and there are people that are actually into that, and it's like I feel like anime Twitter is like way more okay with people just being into weird shit than like most groups of people. So I've always been like, well, then why do people get mad at just like general like titties or something? I don't think it go either way with Gojo and Katakuri, because like, what is Katakuri gonna do? Katakuri can't really do anything to Gojo. Like Gojo's durability is so far above what Katakuri can perform. Like the only issue Gojo would have is like just landing general damage, but he has Iron Shadow Dragon mode, so. Let's hope Team Knots doesn't stay in Edolas too long. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be that long because they can't really do a whole lot right now. They don't have magic, so it's not like any real fights are going to break out. I think we're going to just get kind of some lore. Like, I'm still hoping that, like, the origin of the Exceed are gonna somehow tie into this, and we're gonna find out like maybe why they could use magic in Edolas in the first place, because I think that they have something to do with Elentier in general, and it's not just Toka. Um, I have a strong belief that Elentier is either some realm of the gods or the afterlife, kind of like heaven in fairy tale. I don't think it's just gonna be like, oh yeah, it's another alternate universe where like characters are slightly different. I don't think you could do that because that would require much more time to kind of to do, because it'd be like, why have something like that if you weren't going to show it all? Whereas if it's like, oh yeah, this is the afterlife, and it's like you don't have to explain a lot of characters because you could just bring in an old character and like, oh yeah, that makes sense of why they could be there. I do like my tinfoil hat theory that Acnologia is like in the afterlife of fairy tale running amok, and he's like a danger to everything. Just because I think that'd be so badass. Could you imagine, just real quick, I don't know how many people here have watched my old tinfoil hat video that I did on Acnologia, but could you imagine explaining to somebody, it's like, when they're like, oh, Acnologia died, real too quick, and it's like, well, that was more of just kind of delaying him. They're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, right now we just found out that in heaven he went there, or like guess the afterlife, and he's now like conquering the afterlife, or he's like fighting gods or something. That would be so badass. That would just be such a big dick flex moment in that character. It's like you have this guy who got sucked into a hole of the universe where the universe and like time, the concept of time, like temporally erases things because it's like a void space of nothing. And then he eats it and then takes control of it and breaks through, meaning that like time itself and like the universe couldn't kill him. And then he finally dies, and it's like, yeah, he just fights his way out of heaven or something. That'd be so cool. Like that would like make Acnologia one of like the most badass characters in fiction. Like I think the only character I can think of that's done something like that is Lobo. That's the only other character I can really think of that's done something like that. I'm sure there's like a couple others in the general idea, but it'd just be such a big flex moment. Does anyone know about Umineko when they cry? I know the existence of Umineko. I don't really know anything about it. Okay, I read this one. This comment wasn't at me. Hey, do you think that we can see more Edolas characters than the ones we know? I mean, we could probably get like Edolas Gagio, because he was only in the anime, he wasn't in the manga. But we could maybe get like, I know some people want like Edolas Igneel. I don't really know like whether or not that would be like a big deal, or not a big deal, a good idea to do, because anything like that I feel like would require a lot more focus. Like if you had something like that show up, I think you would need to have like an entire piece where Natsu talks to him, and then like I'm trying to think of who would I really want to see an Edolas version of. I feel like to me it would have to be a character that is not somebody that would take the spotlight, but somebody that would just be cool to see, like Edolas Anima, like Animus. I was trying to Edolas Animus, like from the Dragon Cry movie or something like that. I don't know if you could have Edolas members of Tartaros because they're artificially made; they aren't like naturally made. But maybe. I mean, obviously, I would never complain about an Edolas Gear. I'd be super happy about that. Um, I don't know, I don't really know like what characters we could really pull in, because I'm thinking instantly about big characters. Like, ooh, actually, who would be really cool? Edolas Azuma. Just because I still really wish Azuma joined the guild, and I think it would be really cool just to see like another like a living version of him. I don't know. We'd finally see Edolas Acnologia and Igdale. Like I said, I don't really know like if it's a good idea to do that. Maybe Edolas Acnologia, because it wouldn't require like a big pull away. Because if it's Edolas Igneel, then obviously Natsu's going to want to talk to him, and there's going to be stuff. I don't really know. The only other thing I can really think of is if it was like Edolas Igneel is the father of Edolas Natsu, and it's just like a nice moment. But I don't really know like what they could do with it, other than like make it just a brief moment, because I feel like any other extended kind of like mentioning of an Edolas Igneo would need to be explored more, because that's gonna make Natsu really curious, and it'll probably end up having it go a lot longer than needs to be. Because I don't think we should be in Edolas too long. I think if we're in Edolas too long, it's gonna start to pull away from the big plot, obviously. Let me keep going. Mishima's multiverse confirmed. Yeah, it's pretty good though. Like he mentions it in the interview we did recently. This is not to me. Oh yeah, Ellen Tier definitely is a different realm. Weird theory, but what if Black Dragon Slayers were created to slay Acnologia? I don't think they were created to slay Acnologia. I think my theory still is that the Dragon Eaters exist because obviously it has to have the style of eating the dragons in the first place. Unless Georg is like really old, like maybe he's a dragon slayer from the original war against dragons, like the big dragon civil war. um I feel like it's got to have something to do with recently, like if they're normal age for like their appearance, like it would have to be something like he got a hold of Acnologia's arm a couple years prior or something and then ate it, because it would explain how they're able to be so powerful like this fast. But other than that, I don't really know. Like it's the mystery of the Dragon Eater's existence is definitely the thing about them that I am most intrigued about. If there was anybody that had to like have like this, created to fight Acnologia, I still wish it had like it was wherever God Serena's from, because God Serena, even though he was never built up like to be important, like the only real thing about him is that he was the number one wizard saint. I think he had a ton of potential, and they could have done a lot of interesting stuff with him. Like they could have made him like a super soldier, like and done some like weird, almost like Avatar thing where they have to like train up this like super dragon slayer to the one day to fight Acnologia or something. There could have been a lot of really interesting story to do with this character, and it's more like to me when it came to God Serena, it was more of like, damn, there could have been like high potential. It's kind of like with Ivan. It's like outside of like assumptions and Godfrey in his case just his power level, they were never built important to the general plot. They had high potential, but it was never really kind of like made out like it was going to be huge, like God Serena's backstory is going to shake up the entire fairy tale world, or when we get to the Ivan arc. It's more of, man, these characters can really do a lot if we, end up finding out more about them. And it's like, we didn't. Unfortunately so. Looks like the white mage had a reasoning for being evil. Yeah, it looks like she has this religious almost mission. I definitely really want to see what exactly like the origins of her stuff is, because she's over 100. So what exactly has she been doing this whole time? What's up with Elantir? Is it just been like this the whole time, or is she one of many of her position? Was there more than one person that had her job, or is she like going in between like the worlds? Because like imagine this. Imagine if she's normal aged, like she's I don't know 25 or something. But it's kind of like how in the celestial spirit world, time flows differently. Like what is it? A day inside of the celestial spirit world is 3 months in Earthland. So you have something like that where it's more of she's just been going in and out of her realm, because obviously Aqua Era and stuff, going between these realms. Something like that, and she's just kind of been popping in and out. Like that's what I can kind of like. I've got a high interest for her character and what exactly she's gonna provide into the overall universe of Fairy Tail, into their world. What is she gonna bring to the table to kind of like expand what we already have and what we already are kind of like getting built up? But like I said, she has high potential. She's kind of like in that same kind of mindset towards like God Serena and in any character rather, that you get them, and what it's like, man, we could get a lot of this character. But she has been set off in the story of like, yeah, but it's not just high potential. It's like she is important. We are going to be getting a lot of stuff about her, and we are going to be really looking forward to what mysteries she brings to the table, what exactly she's going to be doing. How strong will Gojo be in Fairy Tail? He would at least like, the thing about Satoru is kind of like Julius in that when it comes to like large scale power level stuff, he wouldn't be that big, but he would be pretty high based just off hacks. Um, Satoru would still be like I'm trying to think. He's definitely upper Wizard Saint level. I'd say at least upper Wizard Saint level. The thing about him that would kind of not make him, in my opinion, Spriggan level, is if you just kind of like get past the fact that he's got the barrier, then he's kind of screwed because he's very cocky. Like if you had somebody like Ikaruga, and Ikaruga went up against Satoru, Satoru's going to get fucked because he's not going to like try and just upright dodge one of her slashes because, he's so confident in his barrier with infinity, and she's going to just straight slash him up. Like we've already seen what happens when when he is caught off guard and when you can get past like his defenses and his abilities. And it's not the same as like it's kind of like with Demaria, but Demaria's hacks is so hacks that it's like, yeah, you have to have a very specific power in order to really kind of contend against her. Whereas like when it comes to Satoru, like if you can cancel out spatial manipulation, done. Like she wouldn't even like he wouldn't even like well, Marin Hollow is a counter, but like anybody that has like a spatial manipulating ability is going to completely cancel them out. And then you have characters like Brandish who gives a shit about your barrier. She's going to snap her fingers and pop your head. I would say at least upper Wizard Saint level for sure. Like I definitely would put him upper Wizard Saint level because he's got pretty solid firepower. It's his hacks that makes him so dangerous. Like teleportation, he's got a spatial barrier, spatial manipulation. He's got hollow purple. Like he's definitely got some good moves that would put him in a pretty good spot. Tanko goes from lawful, alt, neutral, and chaotic good quickly. He's just switching all over the place. Let's see. Definitely want a Heroes game would actually be great. I would love that. Like, could you imagine for like the Fairy Tail game if there was like a Heroes DLC and you got to do stuff with Shiki and Haru and stuff? That'd be really cool. A Savage Dragonfire beat Ignil? Yeah, I think it would. Like, it's broken. It's a super broken ability. I also hype when Bastor Ichigo was first introduced. I wish for that I'd stayed around. It's in one of the movies. Like, that is definitely one of the things that to me was a downside to Bleach is you have something like that isn't really used a lot. Like with Naruto used like the idea, of having the, Kurama's chakra, getting cloaked in that and then Naruto losing control. You had a good amount of that before he mastered it. But like when it came to Vasto Lord Ichigo, in this canon you only really have you have a couple parts where he's losing control, but that Vasto Lorde form was so much different than what he had before. Where instead of it being like, visor powers, it was like he became a full hollow. I don't know. Like I do wish that there was like one or two more instances where he goes in that. Or if Hellverse was canon, I think that would be perfect for it, because then you just have another instance of it. Or if he went into that form before he ended up, getting his true Bankai and stuff in the Thousand Year Blood War. Actually, I think that would be great, because then you'd get to see it again, and you get to see like him use it one more time before he ends up kind of like mastering his Hollow and Quincy abilities and stuff too. You should read a Blood Oath. I do read it. I like it so far. I'm not sure if I want to do reviews on it because I am interested in it. I like the main character. I like the kind of, the duality between, with the younger brother who's like really powerful, but he's dependent on his older brother. I kind of like setup. I think that's very interesting. I'm gonna give it a couple more chapters, and then if I like it, I'll jump on it. Because there's still some series that I enjoy, but I wasn't too like hyped on enough to do reviews like Mashal. I do gotta get caught up on Mashal at some point. Would they actually beat Acnologia if they were to fight? I don't think any of them could beat Acnologia 1v1. Because the thing about Acnologia 1v1, he's almost never going to run out of stamina. He's always going to be able to eat magic. That's the thing that makes him more dangerous. Because that's to me the thing that makes God Serena as dangerous as he is. Because he's got high resistance to 8 attributes, and we know 5. I've always been like, why didn't he just show the last 3? Maybe looking at the data book or something, or like a flashback. But when it comes to that, like, you have 8 attributes, like the ones we know: fire, water, earth, air, and lightning. So any of those 5 attributes, he's just going to be able to eat and gain magic and stamina back. And three of those, water, earth, and air, like we've already seen how Wendy can consume air. She literally just very large inhales. Earth, pick up a rock, start biting it. Water, find a body of water, drink some water. Like his thing that makes him so dangerous, in my opinion, is the fact that he has those high resistances, but also he's got almost infinite magic and stamina. Not like infinite, but he has this such a level of recovery that it would be scary to fight him because he's not broken like the other Spriggan in terms of like I mean, obviously August and Irina stuff, Demaria Brandish, or even like Agil. The thing that makes him so dangerous is you have a Dragon Slayer, very close combat, very high durability type of fighting style, very in your face fighting style, but he's also almost never gonna stop until you beat him. So that to me that has always been God Serena's like big kind of like biggest key factor to like why he's so powerful instead of it just being oh yeah, he's a dragon slayer with multiple attributes. It's the fact that he can recover like that because when it comes to dragon slayers, like obviously like they have a massive weakness with motion sickness. Obviously 5th gen is completely different, but it's it's a very simple yet strong counter to a very very wild card type of magic in Fairy Tail, as well as the fact that they have this broken ability of both magic and stamina recovery for eating their attribute, but it also has the potential for them to kind of like break their limits and force them into a state of dragon force. Rex, when do you think of Fire Dragon King mode Natsu beating Guildarts in the game? It's game stuff. I think personally, I think base Natsu is weaker than Guild Arts. I think Fire Dragon King mode Natsu would be able to fight equally with Guild Arts, and I think Dragon Force could definitely beat Guild Arts. So I'm fine with that. I mean, like, it's also the game, so it's like whatever. It's game mechanics. Rex, are you gonna try the Zombie Knight Saga? Zombie Knight Saga. I think I've heard of that. Is that a webtoon, or is that like or what is that? 'Cause the first thing I thought of was Kingdom of Zombie, which was this manga that came out a couple years ago, and I think it got canceled because the mangaka got arrested for something. I think he was hacking into computers or some shit, which made me sad because it was the only like battle shonen zombie series that I had at the time. I don't think there's really any running around. Like zombies aren't obviously as popular as they used to be, but like that was during the zombie craze and like when zombies like was like Walking Dead just started to blow up, and then you just like had all these different like zombie apocalypse movies popping all over the place. It was shortly before the superhero craze. It was like post vampire craze, then it was the zombie craze, and then it was the superhero craze. Like it was cool. I do really wish that series didn't get canceled. This one's not at me. Do you think White Wizard and Natsu become friends, not romantic, just as friends? Here's the way that I am seeing things when it comes to Toka and the White Witch. I think Toka is either going to, hook up with Happy, be Happy's ship, or be what pushes Carla into kind of, having that ship with Happy. I'm kind of like the idea, though, of, like, years later, you find out, like, Panther Lily maybe in Carla, and then you have Happy and Toka, just because it's, like, I don't want to leave Panther Lily alone. I mean, kind of weird because like Carla's like what, like 8 or 9, but she's a cat, so it's kind of different with cats. I mean, Exceed, but at the same time, it's like they're a completely different species, and obviously like animals operate very differently than humans and stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? It'd be kind of strange, but at the same time, it's like yeah, they're different, different species entirely. But with the White Witch, I like to imagine that she will actually end up developing a thing for Natsu and will be what still helps kind of like push Natsu and Lucy's relationship because it's obvious. I think it's around Grand Magic Games or like where Natsu and Lucy's relationship starts to kind of being like pushing further from close friends and then the romantic interest starts to kind of like build in. But it's very obvious now. They both have a thing for each other, but theirs is the ship that's going to be the hardest because we already knew what was kind of like either built or holding back other ships, and like Natsu and Lucy is the one that right now I think that we just need to have, a nice big strong push. And I think the stuff with Edolas, with their Edolas versions being married, is going to help with that a lot. If no, wait, what is this? Oh, I didn't see your comment. If Natsu was in One Piece, Natsu in One Piece, what though? I'm training Elmi Mukhtar's comment. As for the White Wizard being Zeref level threat, I honestly want her to live. I mean, she has lived up to that. So it depends entirely on like what's happened with her whiteout ability. I'm very curious about that. Like, how exactly is it that she can't use it anymore? Was it a borrowed power or what? Because with that scene when she beat the entire a majority of the guild, primarily the biggest ones being Laxus and Jalal at the same time, she completely just beat them with no effort. That is something that only a character like pretty much like Irene and August level and up could do. So I think it was very validating towards like the comment of her being like a Zeref level threat. I think it really is just going to depend on like what we find out when we start to find out more about her. It's like her whiteout ability. Is it a borrowed power? Is it something that she can't use after? Does she have to be maybe inside of a body to use her powers properly? That'd actually be really cool because it'd be like Zeref couldn't use his magic properly because of the way his curse worked, and he ended up becoming, finding a cheat in order to do it by thinking of everything as like a game. So maybe the White Witch can only use her magic properly when she's in the body of a host, and something like that. Because I'm still wondering like why it needed to be an Exceed. Because like I said, I think the Exceed are gonna revealed to have their origins from Elentier. And maybe the thing about the Exceed is they can use magic in any realm. So it'd be like, oh well, that would make sense why she would go after she would go and take over the body of an Exceed, as well as it's like, oh well, she can't use magic in this realm because she's not from this realm. Maybe like their bodies work differently where she's from. There's a lot of really interesting, like I said, world building and potential that kind of will formulate around what's been going on with the White Witch and Elentier, and just the mystery behind them that will open up a lot of really cool stuff for Fairy Tail. I do think that at least from what we've seen, when she has her full power, that she is a Zeref level threat. Lobo from DC Comics, yeah, he's already got it. Kratos, God of War, Kratos and War Darksiders have fought their way back from death. Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, I'm not talking about like fighting back from death. I'm like you go to the afterlife and you just start beating the shit out of people until you become like a big problem. I'd be okay with that if Acnologia like came back to life like that. That'd be awesome. Gonna get back in Fairy Tail Natsu Brothers Z came back. Oh, good. I want him to come back. I love Acnologia. There's a theory that Happy is Edolas Acnologia. Okay, that's silly. That'd be weird. I don't really like that idea. It would be that would kind of feel almost gag like if Happy was Edolas Acnologia. Like I said, I don't really like that idea at all. Rax, it would be funny if Mother turns to be Shiki's mother. I think Shiki I think something happened to Shiki and then he got reborn from Mother. Like I still like my idea that Shiki was like a planet or something, like a dying planet, and then like maybe like Ziggy's homeworld, and then brought it to my like his thing with Mother was like, yeah, please save my world, and then brought his, turn the world into a person. That would be really cool. I've had that theory for a while. Other than like Shiki being some like weird race, because obviously I think everybody can guess that Shiki's backstory is obviously going to be a big deal. Like look at Haru's, look at Natsu's. Like there's going to be some big mystery, like cool ass backstories to Shiki's. So it's just going to be like what it is, and then the connection to Mother and the fact that Ziggy found Shiki somewhere along his journey, I think it's going to be like a big, the big key component to that whole reveal. If Elentier is a god, how is the crew going to stop her? No, Elentier is a place. It's not a god. It's a place. Because they're in Edolas because the White Witch tried to take them to Elentier, and when she got back up, she said this isn't Elentier. So it's definitely they were trying to go to a different realm. That's one of the reasons I think that Elentier is some form of heaven or god realm, especially like with the Exceed, like what we know about the Exceed, and the fact that when she was talking to Toka, and Toka is clearly also in some form of connection to Elentier, but she said that she would accept any punishment afterwards, which means that like she is like Toka has to be somewhat of a bigger deal than what we know, and with the way that the Exceed were first depicted in Edolas were like these angelic godlike creatures. So maybe that is like part of their origin, and they were using that in Edolas in order to kind of like keep their position. So it'd be like, oh yeah, so they actually were from some realm. Because I think it would also make sense of why they have these angelic wings. Is maybe they are like the angels of the fairy tale kind of story. These winged magic cats that can use their powers no matter what realm they're in. I think that would be really cool. I think that hero nostalgia character is Miliana. Maybe she comes back for Sting. What? Miliana? Why would it be Miliana? Well, so this is definitely I think this is definitely the nostalgic characters he was talking about, unless he means that there's going to be more in this arc. Because I thought it was going to be Galuna Island, because I was thinking it more towards like how would it be towards Selene and be nostalgic? Okay, yeah, Galuna Island, the moon and stuff. But it was towards stuff with the White Witch, and that obviously like resulted in them accidentally ending up in Edolas. So I don't think it's gonna be Miliana. That'd be weird. I'm surprised Fairy Tail never did a Giant Slayer. Also, the thing is with Slayers is Slayer magic is you are altering your body to be like that which you're fighting. It's the idea of fight fire with fire. Like in Fairy Tail, like you needed the dragon attribute in order to fight dragons. And that's why you had Irene invent dragon slaying magic, to make them dragon-like so they could fight against these dragons. And then obviously that led into, devil slaying, and then at some point somebody invented god slaying. It would I don't really know if you can have giant slaying because it doesn't look like giants are near like giants don't look like that big of a threat. Like the thing about the dragons, like obviously they can't really be harmed by magic entirely. Like you need to have a dragon attribute in order to harm them because of their high resistance to magic. With the devils and demons, it seemed more of doing additional damage to them as well as counteracting their curses and stuff. But like when it comes to I would guess like with Godslayers, it's probably just to hurt, like to touch them because Wendy couldn't physically touch, God Soul Takeover Demaria without getting hurt. So that's my guess of what Godslaying was really for. The giants don't seem like that big of a threat. They're just kind of like big people. They look just like they're very big, physically strong. They don't look like much of a threat. Like there was never a time in Fairy Tail where you saw a giant and it's like, oh man, like we should probably invent like a magic specifically to go against them. It just looks like it'd just be like fighting any other just big person. Like if they were the size of Makarov when Makarov like went to his full size back on Sirius Island, they'd be a lot bigger of a threat. But I don't think they would need to have a giant slayer. Hyrax is a video game for the same both mobile and consoles. They are two completely different games from what I understand. What's up, Egon? How's it going, man? Is Makarov a giant though? I thought it was just one. Yeah, it is one of his abilities. It's just called giant magic. Have you watched any of the various Fate series? I've watched like one. I don't really remember which one it was though. I don't really know. Like I tried Fate. It didn't really seem like my thing. Yeah, it's just a magic for Makarov. It would be great if Happy had a dragon form. I don't think it'd be a dragon form. I like the idea of having like an enhanced thing with just his wings. If you've ever so in his spinoff he had his own little kind of power up mode where he had this kind of like heart energy around his wings. So like when his wings extended out, it kind of like wrapped around him to make like this little heart shaped power. I thought that was nice, and it went into the theme of the series, and it was very good vibes, which is good for Happy. It made people reading it happy, and it made people around him happy. Happy's doing his job. I don't think a dragon form would really fit him. Plus, if it has to do like I said with like the Exene end up being like almost angels, like I think it would have to be an extension for that. Like give him like a halo or something. Maybe give him like a I'm trying to think of what else you could really do with him to kind of just make him an upper form for Happy. I think one thing they could do is just have like an energy addition to him. Like I said, like that heart form he had in his spinoff. Because I do like Happy. I don't really want to see him like altered too much. I don't think he needs a dragon form though. I always considered a possibility of remaining three elements for God. Serena would be aligned with Brave Master's element of face. Yeah, I think that's what. I mean, one of them was like what, like infinity? I don't think you could do that. I always figured it's just basic elements. It's like the other ones are probably like light, shadow, and poison or something. Just like look at like what elements we've already had. Gods and magic shown light and dark made so likely. Wait. Did he show light and dark? I mean, he had like dark eyes. I don't really see any dark spells. I mean, he can go lightning because there's a part where you see lightning on his hands. I never saw like which part where did he have some form of shadow or dark? I don't remember that. Let me scroll down. Let's see. Why didn't Serena show any scales or marks? He had 8 times more lacrimas. Also, when it comes to the lacrima based dragons or dragon force has never been as powerful as either artificially induced or natural dragon force. But his seemed more towards having the multiple elements mastered rather than just having dragon force mastered or even a hybrid mode. His style seemed more like he probably got all those lacrima and it was like instead of pushing one in a far direction, it was just like get all of them really rounded out, was my guess. Like I said, God Serena had a lot of potential just from the idea of him, but I mean, he probably has Dragon Force. I feel like if he showed back up either as like a, if we saw a history of him again, and he's like, man, he gets in a fight, and he's like, man, I finally got to use Dragon Force even as a corpse. Because like the last 2 times I fought, like the fights went too quickly. Because he got overwhelmed. Obviously with Acnologia, Acnologia blitzed the shit out of God's Serena before God's Serena could even really do anything. He didn't need Dragon Force to beat the Hyperion, Wolfheim, Jura, and Warren. So there wasn't a time really where he had the chance. And against Gildart's like completely overpowered him because the history of him isn't as powerful. So he would have to fight somebody like that is at his level so he could do it, or at least like enough that he's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to use Dragon Force. I do wish we got to see it because I would be interested in seeing what he would have to kind of display. I mean, he just make him like the Avatar. Let's see. I wish Dragon Gods had a flashback about their lives. I think that's going to be primarily on Ignia. Like, we had a little bit about Mercephobia. I think as long as the fact that he's not dead, there's the potential that we could get that from still. I did see on the cover for Volume 7 the fact that we didn't have Wolfen on there, which makes me a little suspicious maybe that God Serena, or not God Serena, maybe Aldarn isn't actually dead. Because the tablet got like the power of Mercephobia went away and seemingly got sealed up when they defeated him. He wasn't dead, and you still saw the mark on Eleftheria's like weird like tablet thing go down. And Wolfen wasn't shown killed. Wolfen was the one out of the God Seeds that was never shown dead. He retreated. He pulled back because Natsu figuring out how to kind of use his power to be a danger to Alderaan. And as well as like multiple of them are killed, but they seem to just continuously grow back. Maybe it's just gonna be like, oh no, he died, and he just wasn't important enough to really get on the cover or something. There's the possibility that he's still alive. I don't know. Like I said, it's an interesting idea. I'm wondering if Mishima's gonna do anything with that, or if it's just like he just didn't put Wolfen on the cover and Wolfen's dead. Who knows? I would like to see some flashbacks. I feel like Ignia for sure. I feel like is going to need a flashback. Ignia, I think for sure, because out of the Dragon Gods we've seen so far, he is the one that would have experienced it as a child. As a little dragon whelpling. So we should be able to see his experience of running from Acnologia from the eyes of a terrified child. I feel like we need that. I feel like we need that entirely. So I think it's being saved. Mercephobia, we can still probably get to it. Alderaan is, like I said, a big question mark. Selene, I think we'll get it with Selene though too, because Selene seems like she's gonna be way bigger of a character than Mercephobia and Alderaan. Like, at least from what we've seen so far, Mercephobia was like the introduction,
or Mersobia is part of the introduction in other Zeus quests. Like he wasn't killed, he wasn't like done away with. He was this. Oh, he used to be a bad guy. He's a good guy. There was a bit of a struggle in whether or not they how they fought him, and as well as the introduction of Ignia, and a build up and hints towards like Nazi stealing his Aetherius powers and stuff. With Alderaan was, showing all these new forms, showing all what the characters have done over the last year. Characters, stuff like Jalal, like moving past everything he did, and trying to live forward for Urza. And I think his was more of like all right, now we're getting like a straightforward, fight against the Dragon God. And the thing about Alderaan as well is Alderaan was he was just like a bad guy. Like he didn't have anything really too complicated about him. He was just a bad guy. And Celine, I feel like Celine's going to be way bigger. I feel like Celine's going to be a way more complicated character. I mean, plus Mishima loves to, he gives a lot of the female characters generally a lot more love. I mean, like look at Kyoka, being the leader of the Night Demon Gates. You had Altair being the leader of the Seven King of Purgatory. Even though August was the commander of the Spriggan, Irene was a way more plot important character, as well as she had way more kind of focus and story behind her, and obviously she managed to in a way survive to now and being brought back up. I think Celine is going to be a way more focused character than any of the other ones before her. Let's see. Light, Shadow, and Sea is both water and sea. I don't know. Well, I figured they're just two attack names of the same variant. Are you hoping for a seasonal or long running series? I want seasonal. I'd rather have for like the quality of it, and I do like that that we've had a lot of like improvement for the Black Clover anime, but I've paid enough attention to some of the comments to know that like the people working on it can get very overwhelmed and get exhausted and being overworked. And I'm glad that a lot of series are becoming more seasonal and moving away from more of that like heavy deadline kind of focus. I don't want them just to be too beaten up on their schedule just for the sake of the animes and stuff. I would rather them, be in a good spot, have more going on for the anime, as well as, keeping the people that are doing it in a good, healthy state. Because that's obviously very important. Would Why would Mishima spend time telling us that love with androids is okay, and have Rebecca repeat it if none of the main crew will marry one? Shiki, Becca Wise, and Amora are all human. Just because it's good for the setting of the world. It's good for the setting of the world to have stuff like that, and we can obviously have a character do it eventually. I mean, out of them right now, like what if I think right now, just right out of the current characters, one of the ships that is a little bit not really brought up that is high potential is Wise and Hermit, just because you have Wise who's like a really good inventor, but he's not as like straight technologically. He's not like as much of a genius yet. He's more of just like he's like a tinkering prodigy with a high potential. Whereas you have Hermit, who's way more intelligent, way more kind of like rounded into like the set for computers and programming and stuff. I think that their combo works really well. But obviously, there's still other characters in the crew that are androids that you could do stuff with. But also, I think it's just good for setting of the world, and and building up a tone where it's like, oh, it doesn't really matter if you are a robot or what. And it also really it adds the extra thing where they talk about like how because Nadia like felt love for Andrew, that they do have a heart and soul, which does obviously play towards any of the mechanical characters. And then look at Pino. Pino wants to be human, so this just shows that like, even an old model for an android has a heart and a soul, so it will work later on, in my opinion, towards like other character developments as well. I don't think JC Staff have done a long running. I think it's gonna be seasonal. I think it'll be seasonal. 24 episodes. 24 though. I don't know if it could get towards. I don't know if it could get towards Drac and Joe though with only 24. Maybe because the thing with if they only do 24, maybe if they do like I'm trying to think of like how it worked, but maybe 30. Because like Drac and Joe stuff, I think they have to end the first like quote unquote season in a really big way because obviously it needs to draw enough attention that they can kind of like pull everything over. If they go towards finish off in the Kurenai arc, the thing is though is like are they gonna do an entire arc just on Drac and Joe? Which I mean they could. I'd be perfectly okay with that. But I'm just wondering where exactly it'd be formatted. I'm curious to know when we're gonna get like a I don't because I don't think they have. Did they say how many episodes there's gonna be in the first season? I think that's where like the theory ideas, theory crafting over the episodes is where it's really gonna kind of start to build. Is just knowing okay, this is how many they're gonna have. How is this gonna work out towards the end? What are we gonna see in the first season? What if another Grand Magic Games were to happen? There's no way another Grand Magic Games can happen. The Fairy Tail Guild is so far above everybody else. It is ridiculous. They are so much further. The only other known guild in the series that could contend with the Fairy Tail Guild is Diablos. Like Sabretooth, no, they're not gonna do shit. Blue Pegasus, no. Or Radial, no. They're not gonna. They can't compete with Fairy Tail, especially if they bring in guild arts. If you have Laxus on the same team, like you literally could just run in with you just run in with like the big shots of Fairy Tail. Run in with the group that they had when they reformed. You'd have Gajil, Natsu, Gray, Urza, Laxus. The other teams are going to quit. They're not going to want to compete against that. The only way that they could even contend with the Fairy Tail members are like the game style of the Grand Magic Games, where it's like some form of puzzle. Any match, and they're gonna fucking dominate the shit out of them. Cause like they had the 7 years, they had 7 years for characters for the most part to get ahead, and then some of the characters trained got powerful enough to kind of dominate, as well as Second Origin. But now, holy shit! Like Natsu literally soloed the Grand Magic Games. Granted, it didn't have it didn't have Sabretooth, didn't have any of the really big guilds at that point, but he did it in base. You could take every single other guild participating, even the other big ones in Earthland, put him in there, have Natsu in there. Natsu goes Dragon Force, he one-shots every single person there. He literally can just punch forward, and the force from it is gonna fucking kill all. Oh, he's not gonna go to kill all of them, but he could. But he's gonna knock everybody else out. It's gonna be over. Like Natsu would completely solo. What's up, Smarty? How's it going, man? Yeah, you couldn't have another Grand Magic Games. The next time there could be a Grand Magic Games is if Mishima does end up going through with a next gen, and you have characters. You could have it way earlier, but it could fit because like the thing is now, like if you did it then, you could have the characters competing be way more on level with with who they're up against. And you can have like, oh, the upper Fairy Tail members aren't competing because they know it wouldn't be fair, so they sent the new people in. They sent the new generation. You do stuff like that, it's like okay, but there's no other way it can happen. You would have to have like I can't think of any other way you could have it because it otherwise can't work. If they go to Elentier and Elentier is like a god realm and they have some form of tournament there, sure, and then you can have them compete against gods and shit. But like against people in Earthland, no. Natsu meets Natsu 400 years ago, that'd be weird. I finished Fooly Cooly for the first time today. Yeah, Fooly Cooly's fun, dude. What's up, though, Smarty? I haven't watched any of the sequels for Fooly Cooly. If you watch the original Fate anime by Studio, it got butchered. I'd suggest Fate Zero Unlimited Blade Works. Oh yeah, because they did yeah Unlimited Budget Works. Yeah, I know about that. What kind of ability do you think Nero will have? I think he's gonna have a water ability. I mean, I feel like the name Poseidon is gonna obviously make him some form of water, and the Aoi Cosmos is very water themed. Maybe that's where Laguna is gonna be like related, because maybe we don't know anything about Laguna, but obviously if he's gonna be important, maybe he's from that family, and that's gonna be his thing, is he's like a prince or something. That'd be really cool to do. Like something like that would be pretty neat. And then obviously it would be like, oh yeah, why you have water powers? And maybe it's like he left because he just wanted to, whatever his goal is, be an actor or be like a performer or something. Sieg's Infinity was unique. The remaining three is Light, Shadow, and Sea. Well, wasn't it that there were few people that have it? I think it was that there were very few people that have it. I think it was only him. I'd have to go back and look. It's been a while since I read that part. So was I the only one during the debut of the Eclipse arc to think Sting and Rogue were not too low? Oh, what? Kids from the future? You were absolutely the only character that thought that. I did have like weird ideas of like what they could be because for a while I was like light the when it came to like them the white dragon and the shadow dragon I was like well maybe they're not as straightforward that's their names maybe that's like a nickname. At one point I was like wondering like Sting would be like a gold dragon or something and then Rogue would be like a sound dragon just because like I was thinking like, oh, because Rogue's hair is like a blonde color, and then it's like, oh, instead of light, it's like a blonde. Or instead of white, it's like a blonde. I was like, well, maybe that's like a hit, and it's gonna be like Gold Dragon. And then with Rogue, I was thinking like, what if it's like a Bat Dragon or something with him? That's why he's kind of like all dark and gloomy. I don't know. That was just I just wanted to share something if we had to bring it up a really old theory. I figured it'd be fun to mention one for myself. So you happy his harem continues to grow with Carla, Toka, and Pino. I don't know about with Pino. Should Rave Master get a remake? I'd be really hyped for a Rave Master anime remake. I'd watch that. Be cool if there was a Water Dragon Slayer. That's what Wendy was supposed to be. Wendy's concept art originally she was going to be a Water Dragon Slayer and she was going to use a wand. Actually, I want to look at that real quick. I'm going to look at that up real quick. I haven't looked at the picture in a long time. I remember that because I think that's why she has blue hair initially. Is that was going to be her thing. Like, there's a couple, like, Slayers that were originally supposed to be different. Like, Gray was originally going to become an Ice Dragon Slayer. Yeah, I just found it. Like, I'm trying to get this picture to load. Yeah, she was going to have a wand. She was going to be a Water Dragon Slayer. Man, more connections between Fairy Tail and Black Clover. They intensify. God Serena's a Water Dragon Slayer. Yeah, I mean, he has it as an attribute, yeah. Dragon Force sounds like a Japanese-only kids card in the game. What? No, Dragon Force is their ability. It's temporarily making them more of a dragon. I actually laughed because I rewatched the Capsule Monsters like mini arc in Yu-Gi-Oh, which nobody likes that arc, but I did laugh because at the end like Atem's attack was called Dragon Force, and I was like, oh hey, this exists here too. I thought that was cool. He had a lot of elements, yeah, including water. I mean, a dragon, yeah, just water. I mean, we have a water dragon. We already saw essentially what it's like. I don't think we need to have a water dragon slayer. And plus, I don't think we're gonna see one because we could get one in like a flashback or something. But I don't really see how we could have like I don't think we're gonna have any member of Diablos be like a water giant slayer because Diablos' attributes have all been weird. They've all been very strange. They've all been very odd. And that's one of the things I like about them. So I don't want there to be like a water one. It would have to be like it would have to be kind of like a certain weird variation, kind of like how Rafusa has the poison water, something like that. Max, do you think the remaining dragon gods will have underlings like dragon seeds? So I think Ignia. Once they're all gonna have their own followings. That's for sure. Um, my guess, I think God. This is just something that I've had in my head as like the idea. I think Selena's gonna have her own dragons, like a couple dragons or dragon slayers that work for her. I think she's gonna have a couple things like the idea of normal dragons, not dragon gods. Like she'll have a couple like that work for her in a human form, or she'll have dragon slayers that work for her. Maybe kind of like something like original dragon slayers that ended up becoming dragons and can switch between forms but are worshiping her. With Ignia, I think Ignia's is going to be like I've pictured Ignia's like land because all of them so far have had their own territory that has their own people that worship them. I just have this idea that Ignia's is going to be like a coliseum. That's just the way that I've thought about it. And then Viernes, I think Viernes is going to have a lot of dragons. I think Viernes in his hidden city is going to have dragons or other mythical creatures because the fact he's extra secret, he's the gold dragon. His name is Spanish. I think his whole setting is going to be themed after El Dorado, and I think that the mystical golden city it's going to have something like he's been hiding other dragons or other mythological creatures present in his city. But definitely some form of minions. Obviously, I want to see a little Ignia. I want to see small Ignia too. When Elsie finds out about Jesse being a spy, do you think she'll do to him? I mean, probably kill him. Are the spoilers that happens this week? Yeah, that's not a little bit. Alderaan was a real gateway to the other dragons. I'm very interested to see like if he's like what exactly are we gonna find out more from Alderaan, or at least maybe like lore from. Because like the thing about Alderaan that's so weird to think about is all the entire civilization that was built around him is now gone because he absorbed all the people. He absorbed all the people, women, adults, children, like he absorbed all of them. And then if he's not dead, or if he is dead, then literally the entirety, all his cities, all the people there, and him just wiped out. That's crazy to think about. It also means that Natsu kind of killed them too. Which of the Eden Zero's announcements you excited for most? I'm interested in all of them, but mostly the anime. I mean, yeah, the anime. I want to see the anime. I really want to see the anime. I just want to see a trailer. I just want to see like a couple seconds of visually what it's gonna look like. The one that I want to see the most, I want to see either Wise is animated, and I want to see Jin's. Actually, so mentioning earlier Jackal's voice actors playing Shiki, is there other characters that are named their voice actors? Just because then I can go look and see what other characters or what characters are going to sound like. Jackal's voice is enough in my head that I can think about it. Irene seemed to be have more sway over Zeref than August did, ironically. Well, that's because August. The thing with the gods. The thing about the Spriggan and Zeref is that they all had their level of respect for Zeref. Like Brandish didn't want to do the war. Brandish was against the war. Both she didn't want to do it, and Brandish clearly wasn't like some malefic person, but she did it for Zeref because she was loyal to Zeref. Irene was definitely somebody that Irene was definitely somebody that could talk with Zeref because she had obviously a high status. She's as old as Zeref. She has a big deal, obviously, in her backstory, but she's clearly hard to work with, but was direct with Zeref. August was not somebody that would ever like try and oppose Zeref or try and sway Zeref away from whatever Zeref wanted to do. Because not only was he loyal to him, but that was his father that he saw was on this essentially a holy mission in order to fix everything and save the world. This is a guy that he had been following for so long, and then knowing that he was his dad, and then finding out that his dad was trying to do something that, from their perspective, was for the better of everybody. Like he wasn't gonna oppose him. He wasn't gonna do anything to go against him at all. And full power Sharia beat Dio and Jotaro. Damarian was clearly based on. I mean, Demario wasn't based on Dio. Demario was just that had a power that had time stop. I mean, Kronos is the god of time, or god of time. Kronos was the Titan that governed time. I think it was kind of like based around him in Greek mythology. He was Kronos was the father of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, right? I have to go look it back up, but I know he has obviously to do with time. Obviously, his name Chrono, I mean, having to do with time. But she definitely wasn't based off Dio. I mean, does she have any traits really that are like Dio or any Dio references? Uh, I don't think so. I mean, and then like the thing about Sharia is Sharia's power was to counteract the takeover. They couldn't do anything if it wasn't for Ultir. Who's a smarter fighter in your opinion, Gray or Yuno? Gray. Gray's level of ingenuity and how he fights is definitely way higher up than Yuno's. Like Yuno's level of combat, not like improvisation and just kind of like evolution. The best thing, obviously, for him is how he invented Spirit of Zephyr with taking the magical pieces through through the air and then absorbing them. But with Gray, like Gray is constantly shown to be very combat intelligent. Natsu is better to adapt to his opponents in terms of how he approaches them in term like with the way that he already fights, whereas Gray like reshapes his magic in the best way for whatever situation he's in. Gray is definitely a way more tactical and intelligent fighter, I would say, than because Dio and the time stop powers doesn't mean they're related. I mean, people like there are characters that can stop time before Dio. Let's see. Why isn't Hermit can't happen? Yeah, I think that's actually a really interesting one. Just because like I think they have the synergy for that ship to really work. Gray by far, yeah. Gray's definitely like a way more intelligent fighter. Natsu and Gojo versus Spider-Man and Black Panther. It's a weird one, but I mean Gray and Natsu, I guess, because like Gray can just freeze Black Panther in place. Like, what's he gonna do? And then, Spider-Man's gonna get overwhelmed. We'll see the Dragon Gods accept Fiernes. We've seen the Dragon Gods accept Fiernes. We've seen what is it? We've seen more than half because we haven't. The Fiernes is the one we haven't seen entirely, or not more than that. We've seen because the way that I've looked at them is it's 10. There's 10 because each of them have a dragon form and a humanoid form. We've seen both Mercephobia, we've seen both Ignia, we've seen both Alderaan, and we've seen one of Celine's. We haven't seen her dragon form, which I can't wait to see her dragon form. Hers is probably going to be the coolest looking. And then we haven't seen Viernes at all. So we have Viernes and then Dragon Celine still. At least out of the ones we know, in case there's more. Have you seen the chapter cover for 112 and Zero? I haven't yet. I don't think so. Yuna's disposition makes him look smarter. I mean, that's just because like he is a genius at once he knows how a magic works, at kind of like trying to learn it and stuff. Like traits, like obviously Monoskin and then developing Spirit Dive and stuff. But he doesn't have nearly the level of combat combat tactics that Gray has. Because Gray's like even early on, Gray's entire style was making weapons out of ice in order to be the best fit for what his opponent's doing. Ice, even just like stuff like ice make floor in order to throw off their balance. He's got his grappling hooks to move, making like ice plates midair to jump off of. Like Gray's definitely like a very smart fighter. Well, yeah, I wonder what Mishima has in store for him. I think that Viernes is going to be like a really intriguing character because he's the one out of them that is the extra mystery that Mercephobia hasn't even met. Though I feel like Celine's met him. Out of all of them, if there was going to be somebody that's met him before, I think it's Celine. Celine probably has information on him. She seems like out of them that she's probably the smartest, and then she's got the most connections and most kind of like most reach out of the Dragon Gods. Because everybody at their level has been different. Like obviously I'm counting Acnologia. Celine is very calm and she seems very well planned out. Let's see. Blonde and times. Do you think blonde is enough to say that she's based off of? Come on, that's silly. That's like saying, oh, she had a sword at one point. Like she had a sword with like a gear on it. So time sword Chrono Trigger or something. Like no, she's not based off of Dio. There's no Dio references. There's no like Muda Muda references. There's nothing really to kind of like give an idea of Dio. It's just that she has blonde hair and time stop. Come on. Come on. I don't believe that at all. This one's not me. There's talk about arguing how like nobody believes that is silly. Ignia sometimes reminds me of Slayer Deathstroke from Teen Titans. Ignia just seems like he's like some rebellious teenager, and I like that about him. He's the rebellious son of Ignia. He's the problem child. With like 33 or so get through Drac and Joe. Plus, I mean, they could also extend out. Like you could do an episode for each of the. Obviously not for each because like which ran through Laguna, but like Hermit, you can do a whole. You could extend it, make it an episode, maybe add some flashbacks. Maybe find a little bit more about Phi. Same thing with the fight with Sister. Any of them you could just make them a little bit longer. You could do an episode for them. There's definitely stuff you can extend out a little bit each time. But like yeah, if they don't do it through Drac and Joe, then Drac and Joe has to be like a whole season because after Drac and Joe is, they exit the soccer cosmos, and it'd be weird to have like the idea of a season of Eden Zero be, yeah, the ending of the soccer cosmos, but also the opening of another one. I don't know. I think it'd just be kind of weird. Plus, it feels like the ending of the entire. It is the ending of the soccer cosmos. Is the stuff with Drac and Joe. Dio never really used the sword though. Yeah, he's not a swordsman. I mean, Demaria used a sword, but she was never like emphasized on her sword abilities either. If Hades lived, do you think you would turn over a new leaf, like Ultir, especially if you met Mavis? No, absolutely not. He knew Mavis. He met like he was there. He's a founding member of the guild. He was there like when the guild was created. He knew Mavis when she was alive. he teetered away because he wanted things. He believed that the great world of magic was the way that the fairy tale world should be. He believed that the idea of magic at its utmost, and wizards being only like the utmost wizards being how the world should be, was how things should go. Like I don't think Mavis was really gonna do anything for him. Like he also knew that like he knew everything that Mavis stood for. He knew everything that the guild was founded on. Like Mavis popping up and talking to him if she could, it's not gonna do anything. It wasn't Mavis, going into a coma, and all this stuff, and the creation of Fairy Heart and everything and stuff with August that turned him. It was what he found and in his beliefs of magic after he left the guild that made him the way he was when he became Hades. I bet Jarek can beat Lucy and Wendy though. No, I don't believe that. Absolutely not. Like he got completely no-dipped by a Spriggan, and both Wendy did better against Spriggan and Lucy. Lucy's like scuffle with Brandish was better than Jura. Jura Jura got completely destroyed by God Serena before he even started whipping out Dragon Slayer magic. Like Jura is not that powerful. Lucy and Wendy are both better. They both have better feats. They have more going on. Jura also doesn't have he doesn't have any hacks at all, which is honestly kind of detrimental. Because the same thing with Fairy Tail that Black Clover has is generally characters have something about their abilities that it's like, wow, that's kind of broken. I mean, even Magna and the way that he can combo his fireballs, and he's got normal fireballs, he's got ones that have remote detonation, and he's got ones that turn invisible, and the way he can combine, use them all in like at the same time to where you're not sure which one is coming at you is still like a really good combinational power. Like Jura doesn't have anything like that. In a series where all the big characters have something broken about their abilities, Jura not having any, like he's just physical force and that's it. Like he doesn't even have that impressive of spells. Like what's he got? He's like Rock Mountain, and he's got Rumbling Mount Fuji. I mean, what's that gonna really do? Nothing. He can't beat Wendy. He can't beat Lucy. Happy were to have a dark side. I don't know about that. I don't like that idea. I don't want a dark Happy. God's used all eight dragon spells right before he got beat by Gildarts. It showed, yeah, but it didn't show. We didn't get like an official. Uh, we don't have anything that officially says like, oh, this is what they are. I know what the anime did. I'd be perfectly fine with like if Kimishima just set them, or if like we found it in a data book. It's kind of like that. It's probably that. It's probably just basic elements like that. But I don't think we can assume is the problem. I don't think we can assume what they are. What's up, Josuke? How's it going, man? How you been today? Have you? So I know we're planning to do a Magic Parliament stream. I kind of like the idea though of making a separate channel. I'm perfectly fine with having it on my stream and on my channel, but I think I don't know. I feel like with the setup we should have it be like a a community thing, and then we could have like because eventually like if we get it over 1,000 subs and eventually we start getting donations and stuff, it'd be cool to at that point to either like split it between all of us instead of like the because the issue I'm having is if eventually we get like the Magic Parliament stream like way more successful, it'd be because if it's the idea of people donating to that stream to the idea of the Magic Parliament and it's towards my stream, I don't think it'd be as fair towards just me. I think it'd be fair if it's even if it's like, oh yeah, everybody gets like $3 or something split. It'd be cool just to fairly split amongst us, or if we shifted between channels. I don't know. I like the idea though of if we made a new channel just for that or something. I don't really know. Like I said, I'm cool with either. I don't know. I've been constantly thinking about that because I want it to be stuff that's like fair towards everybody that participates. Or if we used it for something cool, like we constantly like used any of that towards like commissions and stuff to have like more Black Clover art or something. I mean, you could say it's a little obvious, but it's like it's kind of like how Natsu's form. I call it Aetherius Dragon Force, the one that he got from Ignia, but it's not fully confirmed that it was his Aetherius powers, even if it's obvious. It's not something that I can say for sure is canon, and especially the difference though is like if we assumed that's what God Serena's elements were, then it's like that adds an extra level of like possibility for his his character in like the idea of fights and stuff, and then just like power level stuff. If he's got 3 attributes extra that aren't canon stated, that he would be pretty much immune to them, and can't really go against. I get what you're saying though, but like I've always been somebody that like I don't like to assume stuff like that if we don't have like a full canon one. Kind of like I like that, like theorizing it. If it was like a name, or if it was something that isn't going to really kind of like shape up the character based off an assumption kind of like thing, I guess is the best way to say it. Shima can do the White Witch some justice by letting her land an attack on Selene for using her. I'd be okay with that. Like I said, she's definitely powerful. Sure depends on how much strong Arcade would have been pre Space Tune. Wait, stronger would have been than pre Space Tune Acnologia. Nothing. Like Acnologia had already soloed his planet. Didn't the original Rave Master anime have a different ending to the manga? I didn't watch the anime. I don't know how long the anime went. I know it didn't finish. I don't even think it got to Doryu. I think because I remember I remember watching an episode and Let was in it. I'd have to look and see how far it got, but I don't think it even got to Doryu. Doryu was like my favorite fight in the whole series. He isn't strong in Acnologia at all. Yeah, Galarkin can't do shit. Do you think Georg had a run in with Acnologia in the past? No, because he's alive. If he had a run with Acnologia, he'd be dead. The thing is, like, Acnologia, Alderaan, out of all the characters we know, Alderaan is the only dragon-based character that Acnologia went at with the intent to kill, because obviously if he fought Acnologia and got that severely wounded, Acnologia was trying to kill him. Because Acnologia drastically damaged Gildarts, but Gildarts wasn't a dragon or a dragon slayer, so him just not caring whether or not he was still alive made sense. If he just, beat him the fuck up and then, blitzed him and then just left, he's like, I don't really care if he lives or dies. He's just, somebody got in my way. But whereas, like, Alderaan surviving was impressive and somebody who got away. Whereas like with Georg, I mean, it's like Georg surviving, it would need to be a much bigger thing. And I think it would be kind of bad for Acnologia if he's got that many people that are just not dying towards their encounters. Because when he went against them in Sirius Island, like he didn't really go after any of the Dragon Slayers with like the intent of kill. Like we know that he was not taking them seriously at all. And then at the end of it, his intentions were at that point to kill them all. I mean, how strong he supposedly would have been at his prime. Zeref himself said that Larcade's idea and the potential that he could do something towards Acnologia is because it was based off of his ability to, mess with these 3 things that all living beings had part of them: pleasure, hunger, and sleep. Which in the idea, even Acnologia needs to eat, sleep, and finds pleasure in things. In that aspect, but obviously, like, no, like Acnologia would still just completely demolish him. He was said a secret weapon just based off of the fact that his abilities were something that went towards what Acnologia still technically would have, but like Acnologia hungry, he's just gonna go on a starving rampage and eat everybody there. What's up, Jordan? I'm trying to pronounce Amaral. I think that's how it's pronounced. Larkade can beat anyone as long as they have smashed. I mean, that's just one of his abilities. Obviously, the hunger and sleep powers, like, they're dangerous, but it's not gonna matter against Acnologia when Acnologia just blitz the shit out of him and kill him. Larkade would still beat Wendy. He's got like the hacks to beat Wendy, but obviously like his first ability, it's not gonna do anything to Wendy. As long as Wendy's not fighting with, I mean, like the worst that you could have with Wendy and the hunger ability is that Wendy eats Carla in that idea, but like the the sleep power, if she can get in and get him before that, she has the potential to beat him, because the thing about obviously Larcade, if you're able to get past his first ability, like if you are a virgin, you aren't going to be affected by his pleasure magic, and then the hunger one is very kind of like his whole one of making people hungry is more towards a group, like him against a team, because then it's just like, yeah, your team's going to start turning on each other. So that ability in a one-on-one is mostly a distraction. It's going to completely take their mind away from the fight because they're going to be so hungry. It's dangerous, but it's not nearly as damning as either his pleasure ability or his or rest in peace. Rest in peace is the one where it's definitely very dangerous towards anybody, because unless you're a character that wouldn't sleep, or maybe you can't sleep,
that would be that power is going to be dangerous. Unless you're a character that physically like your powers, oh, I don't ever have to sleep, or somebody that's like, yeah, I just don't sleep. And it can't be like, oh yeah, I just don't sleep a lot, or anything like, oh, I just am really tired. It would have to be like you physically can't sleep. You're physically capable, unable to sleep. Because I think that's like I'm trying to think of like the only character I can think of off the top of my head, Blackbeard. I know Blackbeard's thing apparently is he can't sleep or he's not supposed to. I guess that'd be different. It would really depend on the explanation when we got that. Because there's like I think it was like the story in One Piece that it's like it's not that he can't sleep. It's like if he does sleep, he dies or something of like some weird species he's from or some weird clan. I don't really remember off the top of my head. Ignita's realm kind of reminds me of Muspelheim. I mean, it's just like his is just like a big volcanic range. It's not like he's in a different dimension. Larkade still has us hungry. Yeah, I know. He still got those. He was Klaus from Black Clover, the one voicing Shiki. Yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty cool though. I like Klaus. Are there any fights in yours or anime that you want to be expanded upon with some filler scenes? The fight against Drac and Joe. I mean, the general fight against Drac and Joe. Kurenai, I think just a couple extra scenes of Kurenai just racing after Shiki would be really cool. Trying to think of just early fights. Jin, either fight against Jin. Any fight with Jin, extend that out. Any fight with Jin, extend that out. 100%. 100% extend the fights out with Jin. Maybe a little bit more of just seeing the fight against Nino with Rebecca. Maybe it's a couple scenes of her dodging his attacks or something. Definitely, actually, if I had to say, just those are my picks. So the fights with Jin for sure. A little bit extra, like the Kurenai fight. I would just like to see a little extra of just the chase. I think is what I want to say. And then Drac and Joe's fight just in general. Extend that shit out. Tron for Zero anime looks good. Love the way that the Easy ship looked. That was the thing to me that was the coolest to see. I loved seeing the Zero ship in full color with the black and gold. I thought that was cool as hell. Rena's ballsy enough to give Zeref constructive criticism. Yeah, it's because she knows that she's like one of the only people that's gonna do it. Because like August isn't gonna, or Larkade's not gonna. She's loyal to Zeref, but she knows that the other guys are so loyal to Zeref that they're not gonna ever try and like say anything that might be, you know, against him in some way that they could potentially view as like against Zeref. Like obviously like saying, hey, you need to take this seriously, even though Zeref is so drastically above them. Like for August, it would probably be like insulting, just because obviously like the way he sees Zeref and stuff. But someone like Brandish, it would probably be like, oh, I have no right to tell somebody that high above me, the creator of my empire and stuff. Something that he's doing wrong. Whereas like Irene's just like, no, she's gonna tell him off, and not even tell him off. She's gonna do what she can in her mind that it's gonna help. Zeref. More like bullying a suicidal teen. What? What was that off of? That's not really bullying him. She was trying to. Yeah, Zeref is 400 plus years old, and so is Irene. Like Zeref and Irene are close to the same age. Like they're both around the same age because August was close to 100. I think he was just like right over I think he's like I'm trying to remember because because I was gonna say over 100, but he was born after Makarov, so he has to be less than he would have to be younger than Makarov unless he's slightly older because obviously the 7-year time skip. He's around Makarov's age, so I don't even think he's 100. Or as like Hades at the time of was like somewhere around like 130, 140. But like Irene and Zeref are both 400 plus years old because they fully experienced the 400-year time period of time that happened between just in general of the start of like stuff with Zeref and the Dragon War and the start of the Fairy Tail series. How far am I away from being caught up? Oh, I'm not that far. Cool. Let me get caught up. Hopefully, we'll get caught up and then probably call the stream good. Let me see. Happy's Angstrom Incarnate. I hope not. I don't want anything like that to happen with Happy. Like I like where Happy's at. Like the only thing I can see is if it's like an extension of Excedo in general. I don't really want anything like Happy is an Edolas version of some character. I don't want that. His split personalities. Whenever he enrages, his eyes turn red, starts to acting more like a 400-year-old would. Well, no, because the thing is like it's the way that his curse works. So Zeref has to like abandon like his beliefs and like the importance of life, and he essentially has to become like a cold-blooded killer in order to control his powers because of the way the curse worked. and then Zeref normally like so it's like Zeref that we see in Alvarez is kind of more of towards Zeref. He's friendly, but he's not as insane and he's not as like broken as like when we first are introduced to him. Because there's suffering Zeref, there's like killing machine Zeref, and then there's normal Zeref. And Zeref had to pretty much find a way to cheat how the curse works in order to kind of like be at balance with those two. That's why, in my opinion, like I had this theory. This was like a old theory that I brought back up with the introduction of the White Witch. Is that my original theory was that Zeref was one of four. There were going to be four characters on Zeref's level, and they were going to be themed after the four horsemen, because Acnologia being like the apocalypse. It was like, to my understanding, like the way that I saw it is like, oh, one of them can call or call Acnologia to wherever they're from, and most people would probably like see Zeref as like the horseman of death, but it's always been to me more of famine because for one, like the White Witch would be Conquest because the Conquest is rider of the White Horse as well. Obviously, she's the White Witch, and the way that she can kind of like control people, she's conquering them in a way. And with Zeref, the rider of the Black Horse wasn't Death. Death rode the Pale Horse. The Famine rode the Black Horse, and Famine's weapon was a scale, which had to do with balance, as well as Zeref's mindset. You know, Zeref being mentally very ill, and the way that he figured out a way to cheat his curse by like a way. It was in the idea of balancing these two sides of him, as well as obviously like his power came originally, or the curse originally came from him going against, you know, doing stuff that really didn't have the whole idea of the weight of life and death. Like he was doing something that would mess with the balance of like the natural cycle of things. So I really wish that would come back though, because that was just a theory I had a long time ago. I've mentioned it a couple of times. I think Drac and Joe would be like cursed with immortality from Monk Saram. Wait, what? Do you think Drac and Joe would like to be? I mean, yeah, probably, because he wants to live. He wants to be immortal. That was one of the things that made Zeref very interesting. Is like there's a lot of characters that seek out immortality, but he didn't want it. He wanted to die. He wanted to get rid of his immortality. I think he might be the strongest out of all of them, or the second strongest. The strongest to me, I think, is either going to be Ignia or Viernes. Probably Ignia, unless my idea of like there being a secret extra dragon god, like if Eleftheria is related to like if Eleftheria's actions are in some way going to revive or bring about a dragon god. And it's also the fact that Eleftheria's a place reopens my theory that Natsu will become the sun dragon god. Midland Academy had plenty of adults. I mean, yeah, three favorite fairy tale villains. Mard, Gear, Acnologia, Zeref. I mean, easy for me. I love those guys. Those are my favorites. Replace Hades with Jalal. Jalal is a villain I definitely really like, but my big thing with Jalal is I love Jalal's redemption and going from a villain to an anti-hero to a more of like a hero now, and not as much just as the villain. Are you going to participate in the fan creation Ether Gear? Yeah, I gotta think of an Ether Gear I'd want. I would have to figure out one that would be really cool, but not. It would have to stand out in Eden Zero. I'm thinking like a radiation. I've been saying for a long time. I really want a radiation wizard in either Fairy Tail or Black Clover. I think it would just be really cool in general to have a radiation style wizard. A radiation style Ether Gear though, even though like radiation would be cool and badass to see in Fairy Tail or Black Clover, it would make more sense to be in Eden Zero because obviously it's more kind of like sci-fi set, and so radiation, you know, you can have like nuclear cool shit. Imagine a guy with radiation style Ether Gear. That'd be badass. That's gonna be probably my submission. I just have to figure out like how I go about it. Do I literally just add him on Twitter and say this is what I want? I met reunite with Mavis. I don't think even reuniting would do anything with him. Maybe Hades was just vulnerable. Hades was a wizard style themed from a combination of Hades, Odin, and pretty much Hitler, because the way that he viewed how the world should be was kind of like a Hitler-esque thing. If everyone is broken, no one is. It's a weird way of looking at it, but sort of, I guess. Where was I at? Let me see. Trying to catch up.
Okay, let's see. Counting villain turned heroes. Yeah, I wouldn't count that because like the best part about Jalal is the fact Jalal's redemption arc. Let's see. In regards to Jura's abilities, chapter profile it stated that all types of earth magic. I mean, yeah, but that's not really that much of a. That's not that useful though. That's just like cool. He's got different rocks. I mean, if he could like do something like with magnetism style thing, I guess. But like other than that, it's like so. Draken Joe versus Jura. I mean, Jura would be able to take him out before like he even does anything really that dangerous because Jura just. I mean, obviously Jura's gonna have just general way higher speed and stats. I mean, like look at his when Orga tried to fight him. Orga's got a hacks move with his god slaying abilities, like with his particle cannon, but Jura just blitzed him and one shot him, and he could do that to Draken Joe, definitely. Like Draken Joe's got the hacks, but like Jura just has raw stats over him. Magic Parliament stream tomorrow. We're planning to do a stream tomorrow. I am I know they want to do like a not everybody. The base idea. I'm sure everybody seems on board with doing like a let me get your guys' opinion actually. Would you guys rather us do like a Black Clover style like game because I know RTL Faith wanted to do like he wanted to do like a Family Feud style thing. Would you guys rather see us play Among Us? I think Among Us would be really cool. And maybe we all like pick somebody in Black Clover to kind of like have as our username for it or something. Saints versus the Kage. I mean, yeah, the Wizard Saints are definitely stronger than the. Wait, the Wizard Saints aren't even strong, even the 5 Kage. No, they couldn't. No, they couldn't. The only members of the Kage, and like even just pick an era. Like, there's never a time where the 5 Kage are all like really good. There's always like one of them that are good. And like you look at the point like Kage Summit when Sasuke attacked him. What was it? What's his name? Unoki. He was the only one that was like, wow, that guy's actually dangerous because of his was it Jinton, where he pretty much had a molecular destruction attack. That was dangerous. But like, look at the other people. Gara, no. Tsunade, or was it Danzo at the time? I think it was Tsunade. Mei. Um, I can't even remember them all the time. And, like Inoki was the only one that was like really dangerous. And then obviously like you look at now it's like Naruto, and then you look at the other Kages and it's like Naruto. And then you even look back at like when the our older Hokages. Okay, it's like oh cool Hashirama. Who in Hashirama's era otherwise from other Kages mattered? Nobody. Okay, Tobirama. Who else? Okay, nobody. Who was it during the time when Sarutobi was Kage? Nobody, not even counting Sarutobi. Minato. Minato. Um, Nobody else? I mean, obviously, like, the Wizard Saints, it's not like all of them are amazing, but, like, look at what they're working with versus, like, what the Kage are working with. They had, like, Jalal, Makarov. Josei, even though Josei, like, doesn't have crazy feats, he still should scale pretty fairly. Obviously, the 4 gods of Ishgal are going to be really important. And then God Serena. I mean, God Serena in general, the fact he counters like general elemental users is extremely dangerous, and the fact he's got almost like unending stamina. Shiki got really lucky considering that Dragon Joe was nerfed. Yeah, because they knew what to do. They knew what they had to do in order to even like weaken him in the first place. It wasn't lucky. It was characters being smart. Start a Magic Parliament podcast. I mean, we're thinking about it. Rave Master anime ended Symphonia. That's a weird place to end it. I don't know about that. Shiki shit stomped the weakened version of Joe, so I think would at least held his own against a full power Dragon Joe. I mean, Shiki with like Shiki in the Demon King farm, I think still probably would have beaten Dragon Joe, but I don't think it would have been a stomp. Just a guess. But like he definitely was weakened. We know that beforehand, and it is fully confirmed by Laguna. What's up, Shamik? How's it going, man? Would have been hilarious if Pino used her EMP, so Shiki and Wise. That's true. Like Pino is definitely useful. But the thing is, like Draken Joe isn't dumb. Like if you took away all their powers, I don't think Draken Joe would have just turned to dust. I think his Ether Gear would have been turned off. But at that point, like you have a guy who's twice the size of them, and it's gonna be beating the shit out of him. And after that point, like he's gonna know to go after Pino, and I think like that would have been dangerous. Because like the thing is like Pino is useful, but Pino is dangerous obviously to anybody around, which include anybody with an Ether Gear, which does include Shiki and Wise. So like you would have to set it up to where they're risking Pino getting destroyed while trying to beat this guy. Like the thing with Pino though is they can't just throw Pino at him and then try that strategy because Drac and Joe, like if Drac and Joe knew before, like if you put him in a scenario where that was going to be the case and Drac and Joe knows that Pino is like a level of that much of a risk, he's going to go and destroy her. And I don't think anybody wants that. I think Eden Zero season 1 will end after a Mildian arc. So first, I don't think it'll. Oh, 48 chapters. I think he said 40 episodes. Maybe. The thing is though, it has to end on a hype. You can't end it on like a oh yeah cool like a comfy chapter. It has to end in like a big hype part. I think that's the part that would have to kind of like build into it. You could end it on the Kurenai arc. You could end it like beating Kurenai and it still be pretty nice. Actually, I think that like referring back to like extending fights, you could do it in the Kurenai arc, but you would have to beef up the fight with Kurenai. I think that would be the way to kind of like end it with like the idea of 24 episodes without going and then do Drac and Joe in season 2 is just beef up the Kurenai fight, make it bigger, make it a little bit more like heavy for Shiki, and then make the part where Shiki catches the missile like way more intense, way more just like high animation, like intense music, way more of like a big attack from Shiki. You just see like a massive shockwave and stuff. Let's see. When you just wanted to treat the wound, accidentally became the powerful being in the entire world. That Zeref, that boss. Not at me. It's definitely possible, or even Joe at full power can have won. Maybe. Let's see. I want Natsu to react to Edolas and Natsu having a kid. I mean, Natsu like seemed like pretty astonished, but it wasn't like a level that like Lucy was kind of like freaking out. I definitely like seeing Natsu just kind of being like trying to figure out what exactly like how it was going on. He seemed more confused than anything, trying to like fathom it. Because I feel like if you look at Lucy and Natsu, like Lucy probably knows that she has feelings for Natsu and just kind of want to admit it. I don't think Natsu as in touch with like is full level of feelings to where that idea is gonna kind of freak him out. Like it seems my guess to me is it's more of like stuff that Natsu has in the back of his head. He has a strong emotional kind of tie to Lucy, but it's not something he's as would be as honest about. Probably kind of like with Gray what Gray had with Juvia. Because like Gray definitely had affections for Juvia, and there's a lot of parts showing obviously him defending her and saving her and being close to her. But it wasn't until like he thought Juvia died that like he had that flash of knowing like how important she was to him. Like if Natsu was like in more control and it wasn't like he didn't like have the Etheria side take over, I think he would have a similar kind of like outcome at that point. Because like look how much Natsu like became more protective of Lucy after seeing future Lucy get killed in the Grand Magic games. Like he would anytime like stuff went down and he thought Lucy was in danger, he would shield her. Do you think what you think of Eden's Zero anime next year? Tax, it's Rax, not tax. I'm hyped. I'm very interested. I'm excited to see excited to see a trailer for it. I definitely want to see what I want to see what people's reaction to it are like for anime reviewers and stuff, anime only people, because they probably don't know anything really about Eden Zero, and I feel like anybody actually starting it, like anybody who's gonna like watch it that has seen Fairy Tail, is just gonna be like, it has a very different tone, and it doesn't feel like it's just the same series. It doesn't have that vibe to it that a lot of people actually push towards it. Like it's even addressed there are parts where it's like, yeah, that's not what this series is about. That's not what they're going for. Let me scroll down. How far am I? Let's see. Shiki versus Luffy. I mean, Luffy's more powerful than Shiki. I wouldn't surprise me if Shiki completely overtakes him, but like right now, I would definitely go with Luffy. Play Among Us. That's what I'm thinking. I feel like Among Us would be more interesting to watch. I'm gonna start scrolling. What's the state of Heroes is canon? Heroes is like its own continuity within the multiverse. Shiki versus Luffy. I already answered that one. Yeah, Day in the Life of Acnologia. I would love to have an Acnologia like volume spinoff or something. Shaman King remake hype. Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Natsu versus Luffy. Natsu can beat everybody in One Piece. There's nobody in One Piece that can fight Natsu. Um, I'm not gonna say Shiki's stronger than Luffy. Absolutely not. No.
maybe when Shiki gets some hacks, but like Shiki is not that durable. Like that's the thing about Shiki. Shiki's is way more. Shiki's big focus, like Haru's big thing was his level of variety in combination with his swords. Natsu's is the fact he's highly durable and highly like offensive based. Shiki's biggest factor is how flexible his movement is. Shiki's very quick agility, and the fact that obviously he's got flight and stuff is the biggest trait to his ability. But if he gets some hacks, I don't see like really what he's gonna do with against Luffy. Nothing. Like gravity against rubber, like squish him. Okay, it's not gonna do the same as it would a normal person. He's gonna need hacks for it. When you say Acnologia and Zeref are close intelligence given the age, what do you think? Zeref is way smart. Zeref is definitely smarter than Acnologia. Luffy is beating physical. Well, Luffy has better speed and physical. No, Luffy has better outright physical lifting force. Natsu has better striking feats. Natsu is way faster. Natsu is faster than Luffy drastically. And that's only counting Natsu in base. The fact that the thing with Luffy is Luffy's forms don't have outright multipliers. Natsu's does. I mean, even Dragon Force has to be above Lost Aspect based off of feats. And Lost Aspect was a multiplier of several hundred. And you want to get into Ethereus Dragon Force, where you have at least double-digit millions as a multiplier? No. And it's for, like, the gap is absurd. Luffy hasn't fought people that Natsu have fought. Luffy is just getting past commander level and starting to teeter into Yonko level. And Yonko level is, like, maybe Spriggan level. Like, is like One Piece like power levels like aren't even close to Fairy Tail power levels. It's not even remotely close. Like you can like One Piece more. I don't care. Like if you like one series more than the other, whatever. But if you want to argue power levels, like Fairy Tail power levels are so godly above One Piece. Like Natsu would completely fucking one shot Kaido. Kaido, Whitebeard, Big Mom, they'd be nothing to him. He would murder them. Ikusa Tsunagi has feats that would put him on level with Mihawk, and he's fodder to base Natsu. Luffy can't do shit to Natsu. Like, nobody in One Piece can. Arcade Arcade can still use the white tentacles. I mean, yeah, but what's that really gonna do? I'm staying. I hope we don't stay in Edolas long. They can't stay in Edolas that long. Oh, Luffy doesn't have better. Yeah, Luffy doesn't have better speed feats. Jason knows. I argue with Jason a lot sometimes. I don't agree with him on a lot of power level stuff, but I definitely would say like the gaps between Fairy Tail and One Piece power levels is so massive. Like Natsu was dodging lasers back in the Grand Magic games a week like before series Guild Arts was able to completely outspeed lasers. Margear completely sideswiped one like it was nothing in base casually. I mean, like Guild Arts like withstood the pull force of a black hole, a mini black hole, obviously, but still really impressive. Jason, how would Shiki hurt Luffy? Yeah, I don't think Luffy would lose to Shiki currently, because like the thing about gravity is enhanced blunt force and stuff, pretty much. Like with Natsu, like fire, heat, explosive powers and stuff, essentially additional to it, and he's got hacks. Shiki doesn't have that yet. Shiki doesn't really have anything that would be damaging to Luffy currently. I don't think Shiki could do anything to Luffy currently because Luffy's the whole big thing about Luffy's rubber body is like straight blunt force doesn't really do anything to it. He's got a high level of resistance. He has like what Natsu has to fire, but Luffy's is out as raw blunt force. That's why like obviously like anybody who's just like, "Oh, I'm going to punch him really hard." Like Luffy would actually do pretty well against well, Saitama's is definitely like higher up, but you know what I mean? Like Saitama's level is absurdly beyond what Luffy can do. But you know what I mean when it's just like a character who's just physically really strong, like All Might. Like Luffy's not gonna really get hurt by All Might at all, even All Might in his prime. Spinoff doesn't mean non-canon. All the fairy tale spinoffs are canon. Everything except for City Hero, unless City Hero is confirmed like in an alternate universe. But there's nothing really to suggest that, at least currently. Let's see. There is one time frame in which any of there could have been met each other. Yeah, that's why it's an alternate universe. Every single one of Hero Mishima's serialized series have alternate timelines and alternate universes. All it has to be is that it's an alternate timeline for each of them, and these timelines are where they connected, and then each of them have their own universes that are the primary timeline. It's easy.
Ravemaster can't take place at EOS because Haru has both Revolt and Aizen Meteor at the same time. It's just they're alternate universes. They're not the same. They're not the primary ones. It's just alternate timeline, alternate universe versions that intersected. That's all it is. I mean, every single one of Mishima's series has alternate timelines and alternate universe. So you just run with that. It's easy. It's stuff that's already established within his series. Let's see. Heroes was written when 100 Years Quest. Like I've already said, alternate timeline. It's just alternate timelines that connected. It's not a big deal. Hiromishima's already said that his series are in this like all in the same multiverse. Out of the three Jalal clones from right. So they're not Jalal clones from Fairy. So they're not Jalal clones. There are different versions. If anything, all of them would be in the idea of clones from his original main character. If you go look at if you look at Mishima Playground, which is a bunch of his one shots, his original series before Rave Master got serialized, his original main character had the eye tattoo that all of them have. The reason he puts them all in there is because they were they were his original one shot. They were his original main character, so he includes them in everything. They aren't the same character. None of them are the same character, but they obviously all have that reference to his original character. Stated that it's true. Island will destroy the rest. I'm not. It's not at me. Like I said, it's alternate timeline. It's easy. Lucy didn't. If Lucy didn't end up with Natsu, let's say that he died because what? Nobody. The only character that would make sense for Lucy to hook the pair up with is Natsu. It's only Natsu. That's the only way that could go. In fact, they're in the same. This also isn't it me. Like I said, alternate timeline. Rave Master reboot only if it's an anime. If they do more stuff with the Rave Master crew, like more story, it would have to be in the hero storyline. Like if you wanted to continue and do stuff with him, because part of the issue with Rave Master was that heroes Mishima said himself that like the issue that he had with Rave Master when he ended it is he didn't have anything existent within the Rave Master world that if he wanted to continue it that he could have. Obviously with Fairy Tail they had stuff like the 100 Years Quest. So after beating Zeref and Acnologia, there was stuff existent in the series that he could expand upon. He didn't have that in Rave Master, which was something he regretted. So if he wanted to do something more with Rave Master, then he couldn't. That's why I think Heroes is such a good idea because he can continue all three of them, all of these in their own storyline and do different things with them. Like you could have an arc, you could literally have an arc in Heroes where like Natsu becomes controlled and becomes like his ethereal form and is used as like a weapon. You could do stuff like maybe Shiki is convinced otherwise that these guys are all bad because of stuff like that. And also you could do like a power up with Haru. Haru deserves a power up for him. Yeah, Luffy can't fight these guys. It stated all of Mishima's works. Yeah, it's one collective. It's one giant collective multiverse. It's completely different than like an event where you just have characters. Oh yeah, they crossover versus like a continuation. Like the Rave Master Fairy Tail original crossover isn't canon to either of the series. It's its own kind of little thing. Whereas like the Heroes continuity is its own thing, but it's within their whole multiverse. If anything, Mishima can literally just say like, any of his series are in his multiverse because the whole idea of his multiverse isn't that it's the Fairy Tail multiverse. It's not the Rave Master multiverse. It's Hiro Mishima's collective multiverse of all his works. They all exist like in his own big mashup, in his own big collective. I mean, look at something like JoJo or something. Fuji's he's already resisted Fuji towards gravity. Currently Shiki's current level, he can't really do anything to Luffy. He's going to be ended by JCC staff, no worse studio. They pick a map art. You can't always just pick the best one. And listen, I've seen some of the stuff that these guys have done. I think it'll be fine. It looks fine. It really just depends on what like how many episodes they're going to try and put in each season, in my opinion. Like if they're going to do like 24, it can easily end up doing fairly well. It doesn't need to all be like godlike animation. You can just have a solid anime and then just have like certain scenes that you put a lot of effort in and really boost up, and you're good. How do you think Asa and Noel's relationship will grow? I think it'll just naturally grow, like Natsu and Lucy's. Need more Jerza moments. I think they're going to get a lot of focus in the Celine arc. You don't pick a studio. Wait, you don't pick and choose a studio, or else it would go. I mean, like, yeah, it depends on like what their budget is, what kind of like style they're going for. I think it really just depends on the people in charge. Like, it's not like the fans vote. So I just want more like shock block. Listen, one crossover does not mean that,
But if you have a continuation, you have a continuity that is within this crossover's universe in a collection by the same author who refers to them all of being within his own multiverse, then obviously they're connected. It's not like the events of Heroes is going to span into Eden Zero or Fairy Tail. It's an alternate timeline where each of these exist that they're just connected in their own kind of thing. It's just, like I said, alternate timeline versions. Let me scroll back up. I lost my spot a little bit. Brandish versus Big Mom. Brandish snaps her fingers. Big Mom's head explodes. No, nobody. No. So One Piece, you have Kizaru. Kizaru's thing is that he can move with. He has some light speed attacks and a light speed movement technique. The way that characters have been able to in any way compete with him is because they have observation haki to the point where they can predict his moves or to the extent of straight seeing slightly in the future. There's a whole different thing of like moving and doing stuff mid attack versus you know where it's going to be and you know where to go beforehand. They're able to deal with some light speed stuff with the aid of observation haki. It's not like just outright like Natsu point blank dodging Sting's roar. Also, Luffy's way faster than Shiki. I'd say he is right now. Like I definitely don't think Shiki's that fast currently. I don't think Shiki is light speed yet. The closest thing you could really have is the lasers that shot out of Kurenai's mech, but like Shiki clearly wasn't like Shiki wasn't able to like deal entirely with bullets from close range. He's been able to outspeed some bullets, but like he was getting caught up by a missile in base, and then obviously like later he caught a missile, but I think he's fast. I don't think he's as crazy as like light speed or anything yet, but I think it's entirely like in line to eventually happen, like with way that Hiroshima does like crazy power levels. Heroes is its own canon. Heroes is its own universe. It's the events that Heroes don't affect over into Rave Master or Fairy Tail. It's its own continuity. It's kind of like how like Fate or JoJo have alternate universes that like they have their own thing. They're existent in the same multiverse, but it's not like I don't know a whole lot about Fate, but it's not like Archer in one universe like meets a character and it's like he goes to an alternate universe and they're gonna have the same like level of knowledge or same interactions. She won't really have any chances. Yeah, I don't think Shiki can beat Luffy currently. I don't. Because Shiki doesn't really have anything to damage him. Luffy has, Luffy's got way more than enough physical damage to beat Shiki, and Shiki is not like a very durable. Shiki doesn't have as nearly as high of a durability as like as even Natsu at the time of what it says 112 chapters in, because that's not Shiki's emphasis. I think Shiki eventually will be strong enough just because I feel like with gravity powers, he's going to get broken and he's going to get way stronger and stuff and be able to do things that would be able to contend with Luffy. Like, if you had, like, say, just as a thing right now, if, like, Shiki eventually becomes fast enough to compete with Luffy, I think you could have something like he gravity locks Luffy in place, flies him up, and throws him into the stratosphere or something, throws him into space, something like that. But I don't think he could beat Luffy currently. I don't think so. Let's see, Liza, Lutaro fanboy. Oh, let's see. I do not think that that Luffy can beat him yet. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just like I don't think that he's strong enough currently. I like the thing about Shiki is still fresh within his journey. Like he's only 100 and something chapters in. He just left the cosmos. He just got this form. Like I don't think that Shiki's just fresh. Luffy's almost 1,000 chapters in. He's got way more feats. He's fought way bigger opponents. I mean, like Draken Joe, like Luffy just or not Luffy, Shiki just fought Draken Joe. Draken Joe was powerful, but Draken Joe's emphasis was on how broken his power was. It wasn't that he was just outright raw strong. It was the fact that his power was broken. I think that probably in like another 100 to 200 chapters, Shiki's gonna end up surpassing Luffy. I mean, like let's be honest, like the power levels that we saw at the end of Rave Master and we see like in Jumps and Fairy Tail, I think we'll eventually see that for sure in Eden Zero. And don't bring up like stuff like planets.
because like we don't know how big Eden Zero planets are right now, and their planets definitely don't seem planet size, and they've all varied. So definitely, I feel like when it comes to planets in Eden Zero, they are case by case basis, and people have to figure out how big they are individually because none of them so far have looked as big as Earth, and Earth is like the base that people use for like planet level. Kaido can beat first arc Lucy though. Yeah, I guess. I mean, Lucy though could just go into. Lucy could honestly just kind of she's got water. She could probably do something to just drown him out. And he's got no magic, so I mean, honestly, like Lucy could have Gemini turn into Kaido, and then Lucy could end up going to Gemini dress and taking Kaido's stats, and then they just double team and beat the shit out of him. Brandish durability. No, don't use a gag feat. That's silly. Don't use a gag feat to discredit Kana. That's silly. That's silly. Don't use gag feats. No, I will not even humor that. That's always been such a silly thing. Like, no, like the idea of Kana like silly and like almost a chibi style knocking out sneezing Brandish. No, literally Brandish goes for full size. Full size Gojo was about as tall as Alderaan leaning up. Alderaan leaning up is like 70 kilometers. Brandish picks Big Mom up and throws her into fucking space. Are you kidding? Brandish runs a train on Big Mom. Big Mom can't do shit. Nobody in One Piece can fuck with Brandish. Brandish is broken as hell, and she literally has the physical size with her max command T increase to completely stomp anybody in One Piece. No, stop. Still low. I mean, she's gonna beat low by Arc Lucy. Not she can't beat 100 Years Quest Lucy. Lucy's skill's too high. Fastest One Piece character is Kizaru. He stated to be light speed. Databook not faster than light. Yes, that is factual. Because anybody that does stuff with light speed Kizaru stuff is because they have a high level of observation hockey to where that they can either predict his movements with future sight or they know what he's gonna do because obviously like the way observation hockey works. Nico Robin can beat Lucy. No, she can't. Lucy would Lucy would fucking completely blitz the shit out of her and beat her. Like Lucy, the thing about Lucy is like people downplay like how strong Lucy is because she doesn't seem that powerful in comparison to like the people around her. But like Lucy was able to keep up with a Spriggan. Lucy is absolutely strong. Lucy's been S class level since the Grand Magic Games in just her magic alone, and look where she's at now. And before even anyone asked me where I'm getting that, Angel was S class level. Angel could only summon one gold spirit and one silver spirit at the same time. Lucy in the Grand Magic Games could drop two gold spirits and be just fine. She was absolutely S class level, and that was Grand Magic Games arc Lucy. Lucy at that point wasn't even Wizard Saint level. Lucy now is able to contend with Spriggan. Obviously, Brandish wasn't going all out, but she was still able to compete with her. She's still able to get the jump on her. Like, she's absolutely going to do fine. We need to see Irene versus her and Celine. Absolutely, I want to see her in clash with Irene. Natsu dodged a laser point blank in base form in the Grand Magic Games. Natsu in the Grand Magic Games was like maybe low Wizard Saint level. Natsu now can completely trash Spriggan in base. Like, and then you have Dragon Force. Natsu is so far above anybody in One Piece, it's not even close. Yeah, Kalkutaki is stupid. I agree. You can't do it like that because then it just becomes a artificially kind of inflated kind of thing. Lucy can use her star dresses. Yeah, she can. She can just turn into. She just has Gemini. If they don't have the level of if Lucy has a stronger level, if she has more magic than equal to or more magic than whoever is she's trying to copy, she'll do fine and she gets their stats and abilities. So Kaido is what's Kaido gonna do? He doesn't have magic. Let's see. I bet Zoro can beat Phantom Lord Happy. Zoro can try. Do you like the? Oh, dude, I love the 100 Years Quest of Volume 7. It's definitely one of my favorites. Both of the ones where Natsu is like fighting, like Natsu's fight ones are fucking awesome. His one against Mercephobia was one of, with Mercephobia with Ignon, it was one of my favorites. And this one too. This one just looks good. I love it. I love like the way that like how dynamic Natsu looks in the shot. So what if he's got Aizen Meteor? He broke Aizen Meteor though. No, he broke Aizen Meteor, and that's when he broke Aizen Meteor when he got Reveled because he wanted the sword to rest. That was the whole point of it. And then Revolt became the default form of the Ten Commandments, and he got a sheath specifically for the shape of Revolt. Revolt became the default shape of the Ten Commandments, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because Revolt was the strongest. So switching to the other ones was mostly for utility, and then he's always got like the best one out at that point. Luffy was named Lucy in Dressrosa so Lucy can beat. Oh yeah, he beat Doflamingo because of that. He's always literally stated speed of light, which makes sense because he's made of light. Yeah, he's not faster than light. That wouldn't. So the whole thing is like he can't be. If the whole thing is he's light speed with certain attacks because he's got the natural light, it wouldn't really make sense for them to suddenly then his attacks also be faster than light, because then the baseline speed wouldn't make sense. It's not like he has like, oh, upgraded light too. Like if there was like awakening and it's like, oh, his light became like light in a vacuum, or you did something where it's like, oh, in awakening my light is 10 times faster or something, I'd be like, okay, yeah, because that's awakening is like an upgraded version. We don't know how exactly awakening there's no from we've only seen like sub awakenings, and it's not like awakening has a base multiplier like, oh, if you awaken you're automatically 10 times stronger or something. If it was something like that, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, then awakening version, sure. But we don't have anything like that currently. Luffy versus current Laxus. Laxus beats the fuck out of him. Laxus beats the shit out of him. Laxus just drops a fucking megaton red lightning and fucking kills him. Oh no, so his base lightning he's not gonna be really doing anything. But he's got his red lightning, and red lightning is blood lightning. It's got a blood attribute onto it as well. And on top of that, he's just gonna be beating the shit out of him. He's gonna just be bodying him. I meant Rave anime reboot. Yeah, an anime reboot for it would be cool. Also, yeah, because Dragon Lightning is completely different than the idea of normal lightning. But like Red Lightning is so different than, yeah, it's when Luffy is absolutely not going to take Red Lightning. That's like saying that like he's gonna be fine against Orga's God Lightning. Like if you're, it's like arguing, oh, Luffy could stand there and take a particle cannon from Orga. It's like, no, he can't. That is a broken like fucking spell. It's gonna hit him. It's gonna kill him. Obviously, that's a different of hacks, but it's like a different variation of it is completely different than the baseline. Because the idea, obviously, of Luffy and Enel was that natural lightning against natural rubber, it's not going to affect it. But when you have a magic variant like blood lightning, no, it's not going to work the same. In real world, rubber won't save you. Yeah, because eventually, like, there's a threshold of that, like how much energy and heat rubber can take, which is also true. You have a good point there. It's not like you could have like fucking an eraser or something and strike it with lightning and it's gonna be fine. It's a high resistance essentially. King Kongon does not put Laxus down. Are you serious? Absolutely not. That's not doing shit to Laxus. Laxus is gonna fucking sideswipe that bitch and then put Luffy into the dirt. Like, not even close. Laxus scales above Ethereon. Ethereon would fucking kill a Yonko, for sure. King Kongan isn't doing shit to Laxus. He's not doing shit to Laxus at all. Yeah, but, Schluck, there's a difference, though, between a lightning, an enhanced kind of, like, variation of lightning, and then a full version different of lightning. Like, Laxus's blood lightning is completely different. You had Wall, who was somebody who was immune to lightning, who modified himself to be able to have just absorb lightning and be immune to it, and was affected by red lightning. Red lightning is completely different. It has mercury fulminant in it as well. It's like a chemical lightning. It's like a chemically explosive, weird variation. Very Law kills it a Yonko. Yep, factual. Luffy's completely immune. Oh, okay, I read that. No, I've already explained that difference. Let's see. I'm not dumb. What do you mean? Where was I? I believe someone calcs Dragon Force to be a. So there's a difference between like some weird kind of like understanding like calc like for it to do a multiplier. That's a little weird. I've never understood like the idea of trying to take a multiplier unless there's like some form of straight up thing to reference off of. Like if you had stats, or you have, like I said, with Lost Aspect, you have a multiplier with a known number, and Dragon Force should be above it. Aetherius Dragon Force is a straight multiple double-digit million. Ziggy is not solo in Fairy Tail. Ziggy can't do that much in Fairy Tail. Acnologia beats Ziggy, obviously. Yeah, he would. He'd absolutely destroy him. Oh, I've already said this. I'm going to say it again. We don't know how big Grand Bell is. We've seen that Grand Bell has a lot of hollow sides to it, as we've seen anytime that, even in just chapter 1, when Shiki busted the Robot King, you saw that there were hollow levels and stuff underneath Grand Bell. And again, we don't know how big Grand Bell is. You have to figure out how big it is in order for to try and gauge the idea of it being planet level. Because we've seen we've seen like, oh yeah, this the planet over in fucking the best one I've used was the one that Amira was on, where it looked like King Kai's planet. It wasn't that big. The thing is like I said, none of these planets look to be like, oh yeah, they're all Earth size. They all look to be varied in size, but none of them have looked that big. You got to figure out how big they are before you can make that claim. And I don't think Grand Bell was the size of a planet. Well, the size of Earth. Yeah, Zeref boss. Zeref is boss. I do love Zeref. Ziggy can't solo Fairy Tail. Kaido hasn't tried drowning himself because he's stupid. Yeah, that's true. Like, factually, he should die. But he doesn't do it because reasons. Let's see. Fuck, where was I? I lost my place because I was trying to see. God damn it, I'm trying really hard to... Yeah, Laxus would tank King Gonga just fine. You're saying that he'd tank move shot caller. Oh, what do you mean? I don't know that one. Cobra can eat all his attacks and kill him using sound magic. You're just dumb. Well, that's not nice. I mean, yeah, he also has wait, Magellan would foderize Cobra? What? No, he couldn't. Cobra was surviving hits from August and Acnologia. Like, what would Magellan possibly do? One thing about One Piece is factual. If you have a superior version of whatever element they are, you'll kill them. Ace died to Akainu because he had lava, and he killed him. He could hurt him. You have a much more powerful and potent poison. You're going to hurt Magellan with it. And on top of that, like I said, yeah, Cobra also has sound magic. And sound magic generally can and void out durability depending on how it's used, because sound waves. It can just go through your body and shit. Twitter is a new Eden Zero color spread showing new characters. Check it out. Oh, at me on Twitter with that. I don't want to open anything because I'm reading this through my Streamlabs. Yeah, don't get too hostile. If Grand Bell is the size of Earth, does this mean Ziggy casually destroy Earthland and kill all Fairy? Oh no, because Fairy Tail's planet. First off, Fairy Tail's planet is way bigger than Earth. It's way bigger. I also don't think Grand Bell's as big as Earth. There's nothing that seems to point towards it being that big. It's the only thing on the planet that even we know of, which seems to be the only thing on the planet, was the amusement park. It was the place where Shiki was from. And it doesn't seem to be that big. We would have to figure out the size of it. Because like I said, none of the planets in Eden Zero so far have looked Earth-sized. Here's totally fits in Rayman. No, it doesn't. It does not fit. It's its own timeline. They're not the main timelines. This would be mentioned. This would be mentioned in Eden Zero or Fairy Tail. There's no way that this wouldn't be brought up. I don't believe that at all. I think it's a alternate universe or alternate timeline for each of them that aren't in the main timelines, but these timelines are connected. So you can have the same characters, but it's not the primary timelines. They're a different. It's entirely different kind of like setup in their multiverse. Do you think Elsie and Urza would interact if they met? Urza wouldn't like Elsie. Elsie's a criminal and a space pirate. Like, of course, Urza's not gonna like her. Urza's she's a girl of justice, and she's very, very. She has a very strong moral compass, and she's not gonna like Elsie. That's probably one of the reasons why Elsie wasn't in Heroes, because they wouldn't get along at all. Lucy's not inferior to Big Mom. She's not. Fairy Tail's much superior. Yep, that's factual. Absolutely factual. 100%. I don't think Big Mom would beat Lucy. Lucy has way more to work with. She's got better feats. She's outright has water. She can use Gemini and make a copy of Big Mom. Big Mom also seems pretty dumb. On top of that, she seems pretty sluggish and slow. She doesn't really have much for combat, kind of like she doesn't really do anything for like in the idea of Big Mom, she's only threatening with her ability that she's the big here's the two big things about Big Mom that make her a threat. She's very durable to the fact that she can get up and pretty much just like come back and fight because she has like simply some pretty high stamina and a very high tolerance for pain. So like you can knock her down, but she's probably going to get back up. And the fact that she has with her devil fruit that she can take years off a person's life, but that only works if you're afraid of her. So like Lucy's not going to be afraid of Big Mom. What possible reason would Luffy or for Lucy to be afraid of Big Mom? Like Big Mom is just a big dumb slow idiot. Lucy's fought like stood up to dragons and shit. Like she's not gonna do shit. Just let the Cosmos. He can already hold his own against Space Natsu. Wait, what? No, he couldn't. Stop. Listen, Jason. I'm not even gonna humor the idea that this is primary timeline because it doesn't fit into the story. It doesn't fit into any of them. It wouldn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You can't work heroes into the primary stories of each of them. They're alternate timelines. Stop. Jesus Christ. I don't want to have to keep explaining this. In Rave Master, the end of Rave Master, Haru broke Revolt. Or he broke Eisen Meteor. Revolt became the base form of their Ten Commandments. He even has a sheath that he specifically had that he carried around with it. It doesn't make sense. Also, after the end of Rave Master, Haru was gone for a year. Haru came back. Haru then went home, married Ellie. Why would him and Ellie be not even a marriage-like almost relationship with the way that they were interacting? They had a closer relationship than the other two couples, but like Ellie was still embarrassed at Haru like seeing her naked and stuff. If they were married when Haru came back shortly after when he went back to Garage Island, it does not fit into the Brave Master storyline. Stop. I don't know why I have to keep explaining this to you. Nico Ramen can beat Lucy. No, she can't. Lucy's just gonna physically like if you hold her in place, she's gonna just cast Ornamentia and fucking kill Robin. Beck can scale to small nation. Wait, what? Wait, oh, because the scale. So yeah, Fiore is the size of Russia, and Fiore is like the smallest country on Earthline, and there's multiple. Massive One Piece. Why did no one try to drown Kaido? Because Kaido's an idiot. Like, it doesn't even have that. You could just use the Ryu advanced armament hockey and kill him. Stuff with Kaido, I don't care. I already went over the planet stuff. The thing about One Piece is there's a huge difference between travel, reaction, and combat speed. Okay, show me any character reacting to Kizaru that doesn't have advanced. It doesn't have either mastered observation hockey or advanced observation hockey. Show me a character that doesn't have hockey, that's not going to know what Kizaru is doing beforehand, and reacts to something Kizaru does in straight mid move, where like he's already done when his light speed kicks, and you see the beam travel, and he just intercepts it. You don't, because any of his stuff that he's done, and that characters have interacted and kept up with him in speed, are because they have observation hockey, and they're able to know beforehand what he was doing. Yoruichi versus Mirajane. Yoruichi. Yoruichi should have. Yoruichi has better. Well, Mirajane in general. Yoruichi if you include the lightning cat form, but she can't do that on her own. That's something Kisuke did. Because obviously Yoruichi on her own doesn't really have a whole lot of like impressive feats, in all honesty. And we don't even know what her Shikai does. We don't know anything about her Zanpakuto. Considering Brandish shrunk Urza, do you think Brandish... I think Brandish has more magic. Brandish's thing, probably similar to the same thing of Lucy with Gemini, is their characters that aren't the same as like Urza, where Urza, she's got all these different weapons, just like how Lucy, and that's one of the things I think that that Brandish is a good rival to Lucy, is that their levels are based off of what they have in terms of raw magical quantity. They are... as their thing, because none of them have like Brandish's big crazy level of damage thing, not talking about her hacks, talking about just her raw level, is based off of how big she can make herself with how much magic she has. Same thing with what Lucy can do is all based off how much her raw magic is. It's not the same as like Urza. Urza can just jump in, was able to jump into a meteor with her clear heart armor and Yodo Benizakura, and just raw increase her physical energy and the force from it, kinetic energy in order to overtake the force given out by the meteor. I think that
if you took Urza and Brandish, Urza's faster. I think Urza can put Brandish down, but similar to like Lucy, I think Brandish has a absurd quantity of magic, and I think that her quantity of magic is above what Urza's quantity of magic is. Urza just has a way better moveset, way better arsenal. Very Law kills all the. Yeah, I mean, it would depend on obviously the how it feels about the characters. Obviously, if they want to kill them, it could. Guillotine. Oh wait. Where am I? Fuck's sake. I just want to catch up. Here I am. Okay, I wasn't that far. The thing about One Piece being downplayed proves it's strong. First, it's not that One Piece is downplayed. One Piece doesn't have that high of power levels. Belt is a default form for young Musica's Ten Commandments, but it's still a transform. No, because he broke Aizen Meteor. He broke Aizen Meteor. He broke it. He straight broke it. Stop. He broke Aizen Meteor. He broke it. When he got Revolt, Revolt became the default form of the Ten Commandments. He broke Aizen Meteor. He doesn't use it anymore after that because it broke. There's not a time point where he would get it, and there's also not a point where he randomly just gets upgraded versions of each of the Ten Commandment swords. They all look slightly different. And it's not, oh, well, it's just, Hiroshima just added to them. No, you wouldn't be able to have that logically in the storyline. You can't just have, oh yeah, they're different. They're just different. They're going to be all just outright different. The closest thing you have to anything like that is Lucy's keys changing to look like the anime versions because he changed them in the anime and then adapted them from the anime to the manga. There's nothing that would make sense for what Haru did and what Haru was like to have Aizen Meteor and to use Aizen Meteor for some reason as his default form and some reason not have his Revolt sheath. How would he have Revolt and Aizen Meteor at the same time? It doesn't make sense. Stop. I don't know why you're so hellbent on the idea of them being the same timeline, because it doesn't fit. It does not fit. Shiki is not as powerful as base Natsu. He is not. He's absolutely not. Shiki was just struggling with heat from fire. Shiki wouldn't have been able to get through the red cave of just fire, the heat from normal fire. He is not. He's not tanking hits from Natsu and then struggling with red cave's fire. No. Stop. It's so stupid. I don't know when it comes to power levels, you're ridiculous. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Shiki beats the brakes off Elf. No, Elfman's scale's way higher than Shiki. Elfman's been able to take hits from Natsu, base Natsu. Elfman was able to take hits and survive hits from Madmol, who was able to damage Natsu. Elfman is factually stronger than Shiki currently because Shiki is not that powerful currently. Stop. So stupid. You're trying to push Shiki somehow to be on level with current Natsu just so you can say that Shiki can beat Luffy. That doesn't make sense. Shiki cannot beat current Luffy. King Kong gun is not yet. King Kong's not doing shit to Laxus. Kaido versus E&D. Natsu kills the living shit out of Kaido. Everyone's saying Kaido beats Natsu. That's because people on Comic Vine are fucking stupid. Kaido is getting chopped up by anybody with Rio. Kaido just had his breath be chopped by Kinemon. What the fuck? His power level is not even close to Natsu's. He's not even remotely close. He got knocked down by Luffy. Luffy was barely able to beat Katakuri. Like, Kaido does not have feats that can even put him at Spriggan level. Oh, let's see. That wasn't Grand Bell being hollow. No, it's not. There's clear signs of Grand Bell being hollow. I'm going to say this right now. Jason, I will not argue this at all until you at least get me back a scaling of how big Grand Bell is. Until you can tell me how big Grand Bell is, I'm not even going to argue with you about this anymore. Because you completely go against what's shown. You just make assumptions. You don't actually look into anything that you try to claim. You don't look at what's consistent. You don't look at what was shown. Until you show me anything about until you show me a scaling of how big Grand Bell is, I'm not going to argue about it anymore. I've said this to you before about you need to have a size for how big this something is before you just go with it. There's nothing to indicate that the planet Grand Bell is as big as Earth. The planets in Eden Zero have shown so far to all be various in size. None of them have shown to be as big as Earth. Go cut me a scaling for Grand Bell or stop. Would Elsie and Luffy get along? Maybe. Maybe, actually, I think if anybody was going to get along with Elsie in One Piece, it'd probably be Kid. Because Eustace has more of like a classical
pirate style, because like was one of the things that like made his bounty so high is that he was actually like a big danger and he was a detriment and caused a lot of problems for just like the public and like hurt people just cause like Elsie definitely is more of like a more towards that vicious side. Like she's got like a nicer side to, but it's not like she's Luffy, where Luffy is generally a pretty nice guy to most people. Elsie is still a criminal and like a much more vicious person. Let's see. Natsu versus Suna. Natsu destroys Suna. Suna's strongest form he can't even achieve on his own. And it was light. It was he was able to react to a light speed move, which Natsu can do in base just fine. Our Big Mom's job's a lot, but Luffy couldn't beat a non-serious. Yeah, but Big Mom is stupid. Lucy can just fucking drop her Aquarius rest and drown her. Like Luffy, if Luffy stayed like Luffy right now could probably beat Big Mom. He's got internal damage. He's fast enough to hit her. Big Mom is dumb. She's slow. She can't really do anything other than just be like a big, slow moving force. And like I honestly think that Luffy can beat her now with his Ryu because like he's gonna damage her internal organs. And Big Mom was knocked out by Queen falling on top of her head. Luffy drops a real King Kong gun on her. She's done. Ellie being embarrassed simply means no. Stop. It doesn't make sense. You think that they went back? You think that the year later they went back to Garage Island at some point, and then before they got married, this whole event happened? Fuck off with that. That's so fucking stupid. Stop trying to push this nonsense just so you can say that Shiki is somehow on level with base Natsu. It's not true. Stop. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to humor the absolutely ridiculous hunger for power levels over what makes sense because that's fucking stupid. That's the same issue I have with Black Clover power scalers or any power scalers that completely ignore consistency and what makes sense purely because they want upgrades. No. What's up, Carrot? I'm just arguing it's stuff that doesn't make sense. Let's see. I really want to catch up. Big Mom in the latest chapters. Big Mom got knocked down by Frankie and fucking clowned on by Robin. Absolutely, like she can't do shit. Big Mom is a fucking clown. Biscuit's backstory shows Urza helped her leave her criminal life, come to the guild. There's a difference between what Bisca was doing as like a low tier street criminal and Elsie, who's like got her own space fleet and is known as like one of the biggest dangers of the entire cosmos across each of the cosmoses rather. Like Elsie is one of the biggest threats like in their known universe. She is a renowned criminal. Like she's on level with somebody who runs his own cosmos. She's not like oh yeah I'm just kind of I'm a low time criminal stealing and robbing people. No, she has dedicated her whole life to this. She's not gonna have a conversation with Urza and just be like I'm a good now. She thinks of Blackbird the only Yonko feeling like Yonko's at this point. Yeah, pretty much. Natsu completely dominates Suna. Fairy Tail versus One Piece is like Bleach versus Naruto. Like Fairy Tail would absolutely destroy One Piece. It's not even remotely close. They're the same rivalry. I don't know. It's towards Haru broke the sword. That old Musica Forge. Okay, show me him make a new one. Show me make a new one. Show me make a new one. Stop just making shit up. Stop making up headcanon. So since Shikuma was the strongest mage and Brave Master, how would it fare against August? Oh, August hard counters Shikuma. August is a anti-wizard wizard. And not in the way that Asta is. He is a anti-wizard on fucking steroids. He can instantly learn how somebody's magic, master it up to his level. I guess he's Raya on steroids. He's a way better Raya because he doesn't have to touch. He doesn't have a grimoire he has to touch. He just looks at him. The only thing that he can't do is holding type magic. But I mean, like he can just learn somebody's magic that like a caster, or just use whatever magic he already has, and he becomes immune to anything that he learns. Like he's broken. Like he is way more powerful than Shikuma. Like Shikuma doesn't even have that many big things for his magic. He's just got like a lot of pretty good spells, like his Great Deluge. He's got his own Sema, like his having a meteor shower. But like he can't compete against August. Shiki can't do anything against
against Natsu. It's not even close. For some reason, like Jason just wants to push power levels. Like, I get mad at him about this all the time because he's just so hungry for power levels, and it's annoying. I keep trying to tell him it doesn't make sense. There's no way that you could fit this into the stories. Shiki just struggled against normal fire. He can't. If he could withstand Natsu's fire, he could just walk through Red Cave and be fine. Unless you think Red Cave is above Natsu, which in case, fuck no. Kinemon is a perfect counter for Natsu. I mean, Kinemon, it would die even close to Natsu. His sword would melt even being within the vicinity of Natsu. Natsu would literally glare at Kinemon, and Kinemon would probably shit his pants. The difference between Natsu and Kaido is Kaido's hype doesn't put him up to the level of Whitebeard. And he's stronger than most people, obviously, in One Piece, but I don't think he's even remotely as close as people were making it out to be. There were people saying that he was on level with Whitebeard. I don't think that's true at all. Whereas when it comes to Natsu, like Natsu would be above anybody in One Piece. He's so much more powerful. He's got way more to work with. His absolute hacks, overwhelming, dominating force. Like Natsu would just completely fucking run through them. Let's see. I didn't want to talk about power scaling. What's up, telling him? How's it going, man? People brought that up in terms of being a swordsman. Who do you think is better, Haru or Urza? Urza. Urza has shown extremely high level of swordsmanship. Like Haru is definitely like a good swordsman, but like if you look back at like Haru versus Shiba, you saw the difference between a normal like sword master and Haru, who was like skilled with a sword, but he like got dominated until until the Rave like fully accepted Haru, and Haru was able just to overpower him and beat him. Like Haru can fight with a sword, but he's nowhere near Urza's level. If Luffy beats Big Mom, fan base will lose it. Oh no, because like Luffy was already like edging into Yonko level going into this arc. He just got Ryu, which there's only like a handful of people who can use it. It does internal damage, which is a pretty fair level of hacks. You go against Big Mom, who Big Mom's the difference between Kaido and Big Mom is they're both very durable, but Big Mom's thing is that she's slow and she's just absurdly like a tank. Kaido is like that you can't really pierce him. Like before Rio like doing damage to Kaido, it didn't show visible signs. Big Mom showed signs of getting damage, but she just had such a high level of tolerance for pain and a high level of, I don't want to say stamina. She has like a high level of stamina if she's not breaking down into like that hunger thing that she does. But like if you're able to bypass the fact that she's just big, slow, and durable, then bypass slow. She's a tank. I think is the best. If you bypass the fact she's a tank, then yeah, you can beat her. Luffy with Rio, I think, can beat Big Mom. Like because Luffy's not going to be afraid of Big Mom. Big Mom's like abilities outside of just being big and slow and dumb, like is what she has a fire ability and she has a lightning ability. One of those Luffy's not going to be harmed with, and Luffy with armament hockey already like has fire attack, so his body is clearly has a at least decent resistant to heat. So like I think that Luffy with Rio is going to be fine beating Big Mom. Big Mom is definitely the weakest out of the Yonko for sure. Well, not counting Luffy, but I think Luffy with Rio is going to be stronger than Big Mom. Unless the events of Heroes are mentioned in Eden Zero. It's not that it's non-canon. It's that it's its own continuity. It's its own thing. It's its own continuity. It's a different version of the characters, all in a different timeline, but these timelines all connected. Just imagine each of these series. Imagine Rave Master, imagine Fairy Tail, imagine Eden Zero. There's the primary timeline, and then there's the Heroes timeline. Primary timelines stay the same, but the Heroes storylines all interconnected because of the events that happened in the story. I don't know if I want to give mod ship to you, Carrot. I only get mad at Jason when we talk about power levels because he's so hellbent on power levels. But Mo actually tanked Queen's head, but she knocked out. Or wait, yeah, you're right. She tanked it. No, she didn't tank it because she passed out. She got her memories back. But like the fact that was still able to do anything is still pretty damning. I mean, obviously there's a difference between getting hit in the head versus getting hit in the chest, but still like. If getting hit in the head like that is able to do anything to her from just blunt force, like, do you honestly think that Luffy, who can do internal damage, isn't gonna fuck up Big Mom? I don't believe that. Yamato should be next Straw Hat. It's gonna be Jinbei, but like the fact that Carrot's been getting done dirty like this is sad. People always talk about Sieg, Jalal, Mystical Injustice, yet the real clones are Shuda, Cobra, and Draken. Not really. Like no, Cobra's design, Cobra and Shuda are nothing alike. The closer design of Draken Joe is Azuma, and Azuma like the similarity between Azuma and Draken Joe is more of just their hair. Like their personality is nothing. Like Azuma is a very honorable, like respectable guy, and Draken Joe is a scummy crime lord. Cobra and Shuda don't really act alike at all. The only thing similar to between them is kind of their hairstyle, and they have the eye scar, but that's about it. I wouldn't call them clones. The idea when you have like the idea of like if you said like Azuma and if you had said like Azuma and Draken Joe, they're clones. They're not really. They have similar hair and facial set, but like their personalities are drastically different, powers are drastically different. Azuma has dark skin and Draken Joe is white skin. Silly argument. Luffy doesn't have a type of immunity. It's not that he has an immunity fire. With his armament hockey, he definitely has a fair resistance to normal ass fire because he's got Red Hawk. So with armament hockey, his body is able to physically withstand the heat at least. It's not like he's immune to fire, but like with armament hockey, his resistance is at least enough to withstand normal fire attacks. Not to a 7 Dragon Foes is something else. That's cool. Strauss versus 7 Dragon Slayers. Dragon Slayers are running a train on him. Jinbei is already a Straw. Is it official? Like, I guess I don't really. It's not the same as like obviously it's like a fairy tale memory. You don't have to get a mark, but I guess it makes sense. Like he was in that spread. I think this arc 100 years going to still be a war due to the fact there's Dragon Eaters, getting serious, introduction of a new dimension. I mean, I think there's going to be some like giant clash battle too. I don't know if it's just going to be an outright war though. I accidentally skipped over some comments. I'm scrolling back up. Haru being able to transform his sword isn't headcanon. Show me Musica making him a new sword. Show me Musica making a new sword, and give me an explanation of why Haru would go back as that being the default instead of Revolt. Go. I already saw this one. If anyone deserves a mod status, it's me. I keep telling people at Red Cave, fire, stop Shiki. And he can't resist. He can't do that. He can't deal with it. I'm not even trying to power scale right now. No. You're trying to argue. Part of it is saying that Shiki is as powerful as base Natsu. You were trying this earlier when you were trying to argue like Shiki could beat Luffy, which is not true. Shiki was scared of Natsu's fire. That doesn't mean anything. He said it was hot. He was able to withstand the force of Natsu's flames. Do you think somebody who could clash punches with Natsu's fire to where he didn't burn would be worried about Red Cave? No. Absolutely not. It's not even close. If your body is strong enough to withstand Natsu's fire, look at even Tower of Heaven. Gray didn't even really find the flames that didn't even or against Rufus. Gray was saying that like normal fire wasn't even like close to like Natsu's flames. Like the Karma of the Burning Earth spell from Rufus wasn't even that much to Gray because Gray was used to Natsu's fire. Look at what Fukura was doing with Natsu's fire. It was an inferior enough that Gray wasn't even affected by it the same level as he would Natsu's fire and straight froze it. If you can withstand a drastically superior version, you're not going to be worried about the inferior version. No, it's not. That's silly. That doesn't make sense. Like, if you got zapped with Laxus's lightning, you're not going to be like, oh, Enel dropping a lightning bolt is going to kill you. It's like, no, if you're able to withstand a way more superior version, you're not going to be worried about the natural base version of something. That doesn't make any sense. Like anybody who gets hit with Laxus's lightning and is able to withstand it is not going to be worried about, oh, am I going to get struck by a lightning bolt if there's a storm out? It's like you're like, no, I'll be fine. I've taken worse. Kaido's good first. No, Kaido is not stronger than Old Whitebeard. Show me the novel. It was stated to be it became magma later on, but Shiki was still worried about the heat. But Natsu's fire is also stronger than magma. It's way hotter. Natsu's body heat was melting metal. How broken do you think Sister Ivory's hacks is? It's hard to really say. Like, she's got a weird ass power. She's able to over heal somebody. I can't really. That one's one I can't really gauge on because it's a very odd power. Like I said, you can't really look at it without kind of like. It would have to be something kind of like the elf that was in Eden Zero or not Eden Zero, Black Clover that could heal your body limb so like beyond what it was capable of that it pretty much broke it. Natsu ain't taking Rio. Natsu will be fine. Natsu's taken like explosions inside his body. He's been shot inside his mouth. Internal damage isn't really going to do anything to Natsu. Natsu does have feats for that. Natsu's taken internal damage. And that was a Natsu absurdly weaker than current Natsu. Luffy was barely first commander level coming to Wano, and now he's nowhere. He just skimmed above Katakuri, and Katakuri obviously being as powerful as he was, it's not like he is nothing to a Yonko. I don't think he could beat one, but I think he could like put up enough of a fight where they would have to like, all right, I guess I gotta actually fight now. Well, like with something that directly counters Big Mom, like Big Mom style, like Ryu. Like if Ryu can damage Kaido, it can kill Big Mom. Absolutely. And Big Mom is dumb and slow. Like Luffy will do fine. Let's see. I wanna catch up so I can finish this. Genjutsu versus Big Mom. Which is Whiteout. That really just depends though on who's tanking. Aizen Meteor isn't the default. Yes, it is. Aizen Meteor is the default. Aizen Meteor was what Haru had normally carrying around in Heroes. It's what he ended. It's not what he was using at the end of Rave Master. In Rave Master, at the end of the series, Revolt became the default form. He ended up getting his unique sheath just for it. Stop. Show me a panel of Musica saying, "Oh, I made you a new Aizen Meteor," and then Haru saying, "Yeah, it's my new default form." Show me anything to make your argument. Otherwise, stop. You're making a headcanon. You're assuming he randomly decided to build another Aizen Meteor for who knows what reason, and then make it his default form, ditch the sheath, all within a period of time of, what, going back to Garage Island? Stop. That doesn't make any fucking sense. He also was arguing about Darkbring in the arc of Heroes. They destroyed all the Darkbring at the end of Rave Master. Why would they be out looking for Darkbring in that storyline? Stop. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Jesus Christ. Jason, don't delete other people's comments just cuz. I don't want to have to take your mod ship away. Do you mean the 7 warlords? I don't even know which comment I was saying. I'm not mid. I'm friendly as fuck. I get heated, but I'm friendly. Larcade's magic could almost be useless in the Eden Zero since there's so many robots. No, I don't think so. Because like we've already seen from Nadia, literally this chapter, we've seen that they have pretty much the same emotions and experiences as normal people. Like even if they're robots, it doesn't mean anything when the series is obviously set them up to have the same emotions and stuff that normal people would have. They don't process things the same, but they still feel the same. It would really depend though on what kind of robot. If it's a straight robot or if it's like an android or a cyborg. Check the shooter redraw on Mishima Twitter. The only similarity is they have a slightly similar hairstyle. Cobra has a darker skin. Cobra has the fangs. Cobra has a completely different outfit. Like stop. Like they're not the same character. Have you ever played have you ever played World of Warcraft? I'm playing World of Warcraft right now. Can her flame armor stop a Madarasu? Yeah, 100%. Sasuke does not. Sasuke wouldn't dominate Urza. The thing about Sasuke is like the stuff that Sasuke has that's dangerous. It's not really gonna work on Urza. Like he's still stronger than her currently, but like his best things aren't gonna really do much. Like his whole swapping places isn't gonna really do much for Urza. Urza's already fought somebody that can do that. Matarasu does not have feats that would even put it close to Natsu's flames, and Urza has a Natsu flame sword. Alvarez Urza would dominate EMS Sasuke. It's not even close. Luffy would beat. I'm not saying that Luffy can dominate Big Mom, but I think Luffy can beat Big Mom with Rio, with his advanced armament Haki. Where was this? Lists Noelle with Lucy, and she fights Vonica instead. Lucy's gonna win. Lucy is way more powerful than Vonica. Like, what is Vonica gonna do? Lucy's fought stronger opponents. Gonna sword fight Zoro. No, Zoro would not beat Urza. Are you kidding? First off, Urza's better feats. She can use more swords. Urza's fought with swords between her fucking toes. Like, what is Zoro? Zoro doesn't have feats like that. Just in straight swordsmanship, she can fight with swords like telepathically. Like, she's gonna completely dominate him. Depends. Can Monica curse a spirit? I mean, she can. I mean, she can curse a spirit, but like, curse one, she's gonna pull out another. Lucy can just drop Arnometria and take Vonica out, 100%. Lucy has way higher feats than Vonica, drastically higher. It's not even close. Lucy versus Rukia, that really just comes down to which one gets serious first. Because like, Lucy's not a high power output character. But Rukia is only really that dangerous to Lucy with her Bankai. But it takes a while to activate her Bankai, and she would have to be in the mindset also to even use her Bankai in the first place. So that one really just, like I said, comes down to which one of them goes for something big first. Whether Lucy drops like Arnometria or Aquametria, or does her Stardress mix and drops one of those, or if Bankai comes out from Rukia. Where's Command can even fight their captain? What are you talking about? I'm not saying they could beat him, but I don't think that like Kaido could like look at Katakuri and just one shot him. Like Kaido is struggling against like these fucking with the scabbards. Not struggling. He's not. He hasn't instantly just one shot them all. So I don't think Kaido could just absolutely like no diff King. I think he can beat King probably in like low to mid level of difficulty, but I don't think it would just be like I don't think it would just be like a you're gone. Like he had to have a tech. He had to get in his form and then use a technique to beat Luffy. He didn't just breathe on him and kill him. And that was Luffy pre-Ryu, but like the difference between Kaido is Kaido was able to blitz Luffy, whereas Big Mom like was getting clowned on by essentially everyone, like getting outran and clowned on by like Jinbei and Nami and shit. I'm fine. I momentarily he did the same thing. It's like enraged. I'm not gonna block him. I don't have a problem with Jason. I only dislike when it comes to like when he ignores stuff that happens because he's got like some weird agenda for like this series. I don't have a problem with him as a person at all. I do not dislike him. I don't agree with him when it comes like I don't agree with people on a lot of stuff. Like I talk to RTL Face on a regular basis and he doesn't even like Fairy Tail and it's like whatever. I don't have to agree with somebody to like them. I don't agree with Jason when it comes to certain things, but I have zero issue with him. He's fine for me. I just don't want to talk about power level stuff or like continuity stuff because I don't agree with him at all, and I don't think it makes sense what he's trying to push. But I'm not gonna block somebody just because I don't agree with them on something that when we agree on something when we agree for the most part on a lot of other things. That's petty. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not mid. I'm nice. Irene versus Aizen. I mean, like, I mean, Irene can just call down Sema and drop meteors on top of him. I mean, would his Shikai even work on a dragon? Anyway, Luffy, Zoro can give a hell of a fight to Luffy Taro. Oh, that's not at me. How fast do you think Happy is? Happy is at least fast enough that he can meet with like Natsu. Like he's fine with keeping up with base Natsu, obviously. He was fast enough to intercept Fire Dragon King Mode Natsu. Because like Happy in speed has shown actually to be pretty comparable. Because Happy isn't a fighter. Happy is like a he's like a variable to fighting Natsu. Like is it Natsu or is it Natsu with Happy? Because like look at Natsu during the not Grand Magic Kids. Look at Natsu in Sirius Island. Happy was Natsu's partner, but that's because Happy is like beneficial to Natsu in combat because he adds an extra level. It's not the same thing as like Chopper, because Chopper has some solo fights and he's got powers that he can fight some characters on his own. Happy can do stuff like if he wanted to do like his old max speed and like go as fast as he can and headbutt somebody, but it's not like Happy has like anything he can really do solo in a fight otherwise. It's not like Happy has his own techniques that he can drop. Happy is definitely fast enough that he can actually intercept and do things with like people like Natsu, but it's not like he can fight him. For the most part, Happy is just going to be as a bonus. Dragon Gods versus Ishiki. Oh, Dragon Gods are going to be mauling the fuck out of Ishiki. Luffy said himself that cutting attacks are his weakness. You know, the thing Zoro does best. Oh, that's not a me again. Happy's fast like possibly that scares me. Yeah, but that's just speed though. That's Happy's thing. The Exceed have constantly and consistently throughout the series shown to be very fast. Favorite character from Master, Fairy Tail, and Eden Zero. Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail is Natsu. Right now in Eden Zero, it's probably Jin, and in Rave Master, I would go. It's a tie between Haru and Shuda. I really like Shuda. That dude's a badass. I really do like Haru. Like I'd say it's kind of like that with like right now with Eden Zero Two. It's probably a tie between Jin and Shiki. I definitely really like Jin. Jin is definitely like a contender. It's more potential for Jin because Jin has done way less than Shiki, and I really like him. I think he's really badass and really cool. But otherwise, I would say probably go like I think that's it. Natsu. If I had to pick like a tie for Fairy Tail, it'd be like Natsu and Zeref. But I like Natsu more than Zeref. Let's see, Phantom Lord Natsu versus current Shigaraki. Oh no, Shigaraki's gonna win. If that's Phantom Lord arc Natsu, Shigaraki's gonna win. Shigaraki's scales higher. He's got hacks. Natsu didn't really have any hacks back then. Natsu was not nearly as cautious and intelligent of a fighter. He would probably rush in and then get dusted. That's factual. Death Battle Zoro beat Urza. That's because Death Battle's stupid. Urza would dominate the living shit out of Zoro. Yeah, he would. Shigaraki could actually beat that. Yeah, Shigaraki could beat that version of Natsu for sure. If we're including Stampede feats, Stampede is non-canon. Kaido, and if you wanna put in non-canon feats, things are gonna get kind of ridiculous. Because yeah, if you want to compare anime Dusema to manga Dusema, Urza's gonna be way more powerful. Go look at the chapter where Urza, like where Dusem is casted. Was that 518, I believe? And then look at the anime scene of Dusema. The sheer power gap between the anime and manga one is ridiculous. At least visually, it should be around like pretty fair in scaling. Well, no, that thing was gigantic in the anime. Like for Irene's level of scaling, like I'd say she scales at least to around the Phoenix, but like the gap of what Urza would jump to. If we're counting non-canon. Kind of strong against the likes of Rise. Yeah, he's not doing shit to like Natsu or anybody. Let's see. I love Deku, but Shiki would destroy him. Yeah, Shiki would definitely beat Deku. Shiki's just has way more to work with, and like Deku isn't that strong in terms of like a power level when compared to like a lot of other series. The thing that would definitely help for like My Hero is they have some pretty good hacks, and like obviously Shigaraki is actually pretty powerful right now. Deku has the potential obviously to get way powerful, but so does Shiki. But if we want to talk about current versions, like Shiki destroys him, especially the fact that Shiki can enter this Demon King form on its own. If you read the chapter, Kaido had his skin pierced by Rio. Okay, I'm almost caught up. Favorite protagonist out of the big three? Probably Naruto. Current Lucy versus Tartarus Natsu. Oh, Lucy for sure. Lucy for sure. So you don't you think Happy could beat a Might? Yeah, he could. He'd run into him. He literally high speed. The kinetic force from his body going at that speed, hitting somebody and My Hero would kill them. I mean, it's not even like a bad thing. I mean, like look at like all the series that a Cyberman can kill. It's just power levels. Who cares? I feel bad. I feel like Jason left. I'll add him. I don't want him to be upset. I don't have a problem with him. I don't like his gauging of like trying to push things. I don't think that makes sense in like the canon. But I don't have a problem with him as a person. Tartarus Lucy can beat Natsu by Spirit King. She can't. So you can only summon the Celestial Spirit King that way if you have a tight bond with the spirit using it. The spirit that Lucy had the strongest bond with was Aquarius. Lucy can't just take like Capricorn and break it, and then summon the Celestial Spirit King. But the Celestial Spirit King didn't do as well against Margir as Natsu did, so Natsu at that point he was at least faster than actually I think he was just better than the Celestial Spirit King at that point. Happy versus Suyu is I don't know who's Suyu? Is that the frog chick? Sue. That's a lily burnt away at universe-sized void and anime filler scene. It's Pocket Dimension. There was no. Are you talking about against Genesis Zero? Because there was no given size about this. The Tower of Heaven Dragon Force for Natsu versus current Shigaraki. That one? Oh yeah, Natsu's just gonna fucking jump right through his face at that point. Look what you did, Rex. He's fine. I didn't take away his mod ship. I didn't block him or anything. Him and I have argued about this stuff before, and I've gotten upset with him. I only get upset with him when he tries to push like power level stuff or stuff that I've already argued with him before. Where I said this doesn't make sense because it doesn't fit in the timeline. It's literally just an alternate version. Like it's its own continuity. Like I don't see the problem with it. It's like how you have Godzilla and then you have like a different version of Godzilla. It's like they're still the characters, but they're just alternate universes and stuff. Let's see. Alvarez Natsu versus Shippuden Naruto. Oh, Natsu. Battle of the Doctors. Current Wendy versus current Chopper. Oh, Wendy's destroying them. Anyway, I'm gonna end the stream. I got stuff to do. I was planning on doing Ignore versus current Natsu. Current Natsu. I'm gonna end the stream. We're gonna call it good. I was planning to do this like an hour and a half, and we've already doubled that. I appreciate everyone for showing up. Tomorrow we're gonna do a Magic Parliament stream. I don't know if we're gonna talk, if we're gonna do a game or if we're gonna just chit chat, but we're gonna hang out and talk about like all our predictions and ideas of what's coming up in Black Clover. So until then, thanks everyone for showing up. I hope you guys have a really good, rest of your weekend, and look forward to Black Clover next week, as well as that weekend will also lead into a new Fairy Tail chapter. We got Eden Zero stuff still coming, where we're gonna hopefully we get, I'm hoping for just like a clip of the anime before, within a decent amount of time before the end of the year. I'd say I just want like a little POV. Oh, and Jujutsu Kaisen anime next week, which is gonna be hype.